Got your balance sheets?
No. Yes.
Come on, Mary.
32.
That's a slow start today.
She drives all the way from the corner of the county. She has to travel the furthest.
I know I have to stop and take breaks.
We'll go slow
A little
until you
siesta to
catch
get
up.
me there.
Page 1, County General. Looks pretty good. Economic development, just going down the list there.
Will you use the fund numbers?
Pardon me?
Will you say the fund numbers if you're going to talk
Sure.
about them so I can keep up with where the long run-
1001, County General. Looking good. 1112, Lit Economic Development, looks good. 1114, that's Lit Special Purpose, that's the library, it keeps building up. 1122 is Community Corrections, the project fund, looks healthy. Then 1135, Cume Capital, and 1138, Cume Capital Development. We keep taking money out of it, but it's still pretty healthy. I had 1156 firearms training. Look, what is that?
Well, they probably have to have bullets.
Yeah.
That would be,
Is that $202,000 worth of bullets? That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Just training?
It's a fund that we get from the state every year. We don't get gun permit money anymore, and so they figured out a formula. So it just keeps coming in, and so it's a non-reverting fund.
Oh, okay, like a grant, sort of.
It's kind of like the inmate money. You know, they did a formula,
Okay,
so that's why we keep money every year. So it just builds in there.
okay,
I'm getting ready to use some.
okay. 1159 is health, they're okay. And then 1161 Health First Indiana, that's the extra money that they kind of cut back on, but there's healthy balance. 1170 is Lit Public Safety, healthy. And 1186 Rainy Day is steady. Chime in, anybody who wants to make comments or questions. Page 2. 1213 is CASA, they're solvent. 1222 is E911. That's one that we know is going down. Then the Lit 1233 Lit Correctional, and I think that is the operating, and then the Lit 1234 is the capital, and then the 1235 is the Lit PSAP again. One looks good. 2501 is the drug court. They're solvent. Page 3. 2509 is behavioral health court, and they're above water. 4616 is the main allocation area in Buck Creek Township. And then there are a couple more, 4624 and 4628 are other. Well, the 4624 is the next largest allocation area that's just west of the first one. 4634 is a small allocation area. Then 4700 is our self-insurance. That's liability insurance. And 4908 is EDA payments. I guess that is just showing that is building. There is income coming into it. Page 4. 4913 jury pay fund is just above water. That's good. Actually, my wife just collected a little bit from that.
Yep.
Hope it was an interesting one.
Yeah. 5901 and 5902 are the health claims funds. First one's is the, I guess, the operating fund, and then 5902 is the reserve. And just a guess, that looks like it may maybe make it through the year, the auditor. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Have not been updated on kind of how that's going, but it seems, we have not heard that anybody's nervous about it. Kelly might pop in, I'm not sure, so I haven't heard any concerns yet.
Okay. And Kelly is leaving, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is she being replaced or just curious?
They're working on it.
Okay, okay. Page 5, right at the top, 7201 is food and beverage. And I'm guessing that balance will go up by about $1 million next week, maybe, when we get the proceeds of the 2025 GEO bond. Okay. And then all the way down that page are more grants. Page 6, 8955 is the old CARES Act, but the health department. And I guess that's just a cum fund that can sit there and whatever they do with it. 8960 is the ARPA. So, anybody got any questions or comments or?
Is the ARPA money, the restricted and non-restricted, has there been any movement on where that money, the balances are either earmarked to or where we'd like to see them go, or what's going on with that?
So you mean the opioid, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think that the commissioners are working on something, and they've got, someone that's doing, the applications much like, the foundation did for the ARPA money. They've hired someone to come in and do an assessment application process and all of that for.
So they're taking
opioid.
applications right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Or they're getting ready to start.
Janine, you guys approved that application a meeting or two ago, right? And is it a 30-day window?
For the applications,
The opioid applications?
30 days.
Okay. I saw the application, so I know, right? They put it out there. I don't know when it's due, but the application for the county to submit something to the state to try to get the 500K match is due in January. So sometime between now and January, the committee, right, will review whatever comes in and back.
And now we've already contacted them via the letter that they required us to do to let them know that we were interested. So we're on target.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see, right, oop, there he comes.
There he goes.
There it goes.
Okay, next?
John, do you have, you were kind
On your
of
wallets,
being
folks.
a little mysterious.
Come on now.
Don't be that way.
Your email had me just like, what? He said what? They want what?
Yep.
It was lengthy.
Yes, it was.
And confusing.
Well, the point of the length of it was a zero at the end of the day. The first thing that I do want to talk about is the original reason I was on the agenda was to ask for advertisement of additional appropriation, but I'm not going to actually know if I truly need that until payroll Friday. When we did the late pay increases last year, we said we were going to have to come back for about 85,000 in additional appropriations. Well, we've managed, based on how we hired this year to replace people and where we've lost, or the only person that we lost this year, we're basically at zero. So we've zeroed that out. So there's a weird perf pull out of our fund that I just need to get straightened out and just to see if we need it. Then the other thing that came up was the fact that we're in a bit of a unique situation where we had an employee say, hey, in just less than a year, I'm going to be leaving because they're going to be finishing school and they're going to be doing what they really want to do with their long-term career. And so that got me thinking, and it happened actually happened a couple days after the last council meeting that you had, that we found this out. And so we have these two part-time positions that we have in the budget for next year. There's $75,000 in our part-time budget. And based on the fact that one of our part-time people is now full-time, we haven't been able to fill that other part-time position. The other one is probably not going to be with us for very much longer. She hasn't worked in 2 months. And so what I was asking for is if we could take that part-time, take 65 to 70,000. This leaves me with 2 part-time employees. And we're not going to spend more than $5,000 on them next year. So what I'd like to ask is that on or around March 1st of 2026, if we can take that part-time money, 65 to 70,000 of that, to hire a single full-time employee as basically as a pre-hire to get that person trained for the person that's going to leave. By doing this on or around March 1st, there's no ask for additional money. It's a zero. It's just
You're
that's
basically wanting to pay this person out of part-time money until she's ready to go to the full-time position, and then
Well,
whatever's left over in the part-time will stay in part-time?
we'd prefer to hire that person full-time on or around March 1st. We don't know who it is yet. We have 5 people left in our hiring pool, and we have to re-interview
But you're going
them.
to you want to pay that person out of the part-time money?
Correct.
Until
Yeah,
they become the full-time
Yep,
position?
we'd pay the insurance. FICA's already in there because we have to pay FICA to part-time anyway. The perf and the salary all basically comes down to I think it was, but it was, if we hired on or around March 1st, it would be a zero ask. There would be no additional appropriation. All it would be the salary ordinance for the
So
full-time.
you'd have to come up with a number and us position that in a place to pay that person, because part-time people do not get benefits.
Right.
So that, to identify that money as a full-time position temporarily, we'd have to make some transfers to do that.
No. I mean, I'd have to make transfers within my own fund.
Yes.
Within my own fund,
But his
yeah.
own fund.
But the insurance, a whole other person would have health insurance.
Right, and the
correct.
county's going to have a portion
And
of that.
John, then in 27, your body count would be the same
We'll
as it
pay
is now.
100% of the insurance, because the county's.
That's the
what he
idea,
said.
that's the secondary idea, is that we will evaluate as we get closer to the 27 budget if we even need to keep that other full-time position. We will not fill that other full-time position at
Right.
the end of the year. So,
So when you say absorbing the benefits, what, you mean 100%?
yeah,
even the
100%,
county-
yeah, there's
even the
no,
county side?
there is absolutely zero ask here except for the salary ordinance to add the other full-time position in. That's it. Everything else zeroes
And then in
out.
27, you'll make up something if we have to, we'll deal with it.
Correct, yeah, we don't know what technology is gonna bring us for 2027 to know if we need to rehire that position or.
And
ask
if we
for-
do
And
do an
growth.
additional
Growth,
person, we
yeah.
talked about that person probably going on the RDC budget maybe in 27, if we do that.
But he's losing one and just gaining one
Yep.
right now, and it's a
Yeah.
year and a half. We have to,
Yeah, but yeah, and we don't have to decide to do this today, because like you said, it's the way the money works is gonna be March 1st is the zero date.
I
so.
think the most important thing is that you have a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've had a full-time.
And it does take a lot of training for.
Yep.
And the commissioners already approved this?
We talked about it briefly yesterday, but I have not officially gone to them. I kind of went sort of forward to them yesterday to talk about it, and then backwards today to back to them. Like I said, because I just wanted to get it out there and because if it was gonna be a massive no, then I was just gonna say,
So shall
okay.
we put that on the council agenda maybe?
Yeah, and like I said, if you want to wait till January to do it, it's up to you.
Oh, yeah, because you got to have a salary ordinance, right?
Correct.
So, and you don't have that yet.
We're getting ready to present that to you for your.
But we wouldn't amend it till January anyway,
yeah.
right?
Right,
We can wait.
Yeah, we need, yeah,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it out there today and
so it's not new news when it does come?
correct. Yeah, didn't want to put pressure on, so. And that's it. I may be back next week to ask for that. It would be, like I said, my perf is just a little bit off in one of my funds, and it would be about a $3,000 additional appropriation just to make the last payroll for
Yeah.
perf. But that's it. We've done, to come out from $85,000 short to dead on budget, I think we did okay this year, so. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Randy, do you have some updates for us?
Morning.
So Jim sits on the HEDC Executive Committee, so he hears a lot of what's going on. So this has been a very busy year, probably the busiest since maybe '21. So I know there's been some things that have been in the papers, announcements of this, announcements of that. Just thought it might be time to kind of come in and give you a little more cohesive presentation of what it looks like out there. So two things of which are certainly in the public domain is this year, within the last 60 days, 2 of the million square foot buildings have been purchased. We had 4, and in September, in August, Walmart bought the million square foot building that GDI built, which sits just south of 500 North and just west of Mount Comfort Road. And then that I was expecting. I knew they were doing some things. Out of the blue, at the end of September, I got an email from a gentleman who's the Economic Development Director for the state of Indiana for Amazon. And they bought the Red Rock million square foot building, which sits on Buck Creek Road. I've had a chance to talk with both Walmart and Amazon. Walmart's plan is to make that a distribution center for what they refer to as non-sortable items. The big fulfillment center has a lot of robotics and automation. We can talk about that here in a minute. But Walmart sells things that robots can't pick up. If you think washers and dryers and refrigerators and lawn and garden equipment, big things like that. So that building will be outfitted to do that sometime next year. They've got a timeline for that. Amazon bought the million square foot building, and they don't have a hard plan for that yet. The gentleman we had a call last week, and he said, I know what we think we might do, but no decision's been made. And what he said was, so this is preliminary, that it would be basically a warehouse for their fulfillment centers. As he said, it could be full of laundry detergent, or, that they would then send out to their fulfillment centers. So it's a fulfillment center for their fulfillment centers. And that's why apparently this is kind of a new sort of their operation, but they've been buying million square foot buildings across the country to do this. And so that's what that looks like. Sugar Foods, nothing definitive, but I'm going to say that it's more likely than not that project is not going to move forward. If you remember, they make foods, it's a food production company. They leased the building that Ambrose owns, the one that sits right on 70. And the building got sold out from underneath of them. And the new owner said, we will not honor that lease. We will not, those terms are not acceptable to us. So I've then worked with them trying to find another building because we've got space throughout the county. And the consultants called me a couple of weeks ago and said that they've identified a building in another county nearby. And so he said it's not dead, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
I had read that they were talking to Whiteland, and they had approached their council requesting a 7-year abatement on personal property, and the council was somewhat taken back because they'd never granted one that large, and they ended up tabling it at that time. So do you know if that's still sitting there, or?
That's exactly where it is. That's why the consultant said, you know, we didn't see this disaster coming here, so I wouldn't say that it's absolutely happening down in Johnson County either. So that was a couple of weeks ago, he and I talked about that. And so, you know, if it goes sideways there, they may come back and take a second run over here. I don't know.
Time will tell.
So that's the state of play as to them.
Do you think it's that, is it the abatement or is it that they can't find the right amount of space?
No, I think they can't find the right amount of space yet.
I think it's both. And what I'm getting at is they're trying to keep their cost of operation down, so they're trying to find a building that, just like, you know, the Ambrose building had a tenant in there previously that left, and so it was a building that had been depreciated some, so the cost of getting into it was going to be less. I mean, I gave them all the other buildings that we had space in. And I believe, my understanding is the building they looked at in Johnson County also had a previous tenant. So they were trying to get something cheaper. Ambrose wanted to build them a new building, but they don't have time to get a building built. So
Again, how many square feet are they wanting to
well,
facilitate?
that one out there is a little over 700,000.
700,000.
Now I don't know about the one in Whiteland.
But that's about the number that they're needing.
Yeah, what they were wanting, they don't need that much for their production facility, but they wanted that much so that they would have room to store the product, the pre-product before they make it, and then they wanted to have distribution as well out of there. So they wanted to get the raw materials in, space for production, space for distribution, storage. So that was the thinking. They don't need 700,000 for their operation, but they thought, well, we'd like to have
Room to grow.
room to grow. There is, we had a site visit for a very, very nice project here for the city of Greenfield a little over a month ago. And it's a manufacturing firm, and unofficially that is happening. I got the call Friday night. It's a company that will be coming here. Really nice project. So I think within the next week there'll be some sort of press release that I've been told, please don't say anything, let the city relish the win. But that's going to be a very nice project for us. As a part of their site visit, they wanted some economic data, and I reached out to the Department of Workforce Development, and I got it, and I pushed this out. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through this.
I looked at it.
But it's kind of I thought it was really good between this and I routinely go to Stats Indiana, this is a site that's maintained by the IU School of Business, and they're the official repository of census data. So if you want to know it's called Stats Indiana, you can just punch in Hancock County and it tells you lots of demography about where we are. I think, it's kind of been known that in 23, Hancock County was the fastest growing county in the state. In 2024, it was the second fastest growing county in the state. But I will tell you that some of the data that was in here I thought was pretty telling. From the 2020 census to this year, Hancock County's population has grown 10,651. And between 25 and 2030, it should go to add another 10,281. Bottom line is, in a decade, we're going to grow 20,000 people.
It'd be
Probably
interesting
closer
to
to
know
21.
what townships, they don't break it down.
They
Like any
don't
town-
break it down there.
I mean, I'm assuming it's
but
the west side, but
yeah.
I'd like to hear,
Well, I do know
particulars.
that last year, got the exact number here. So in 2024, Hancock County issued 1,085 single-family building permits. I know over 500 of those were in McCordsville. So half of all the issued building permits came out of McCordsville. And then,
Lucky us.
pardon me?
Lucky us. How many, traffic's bad enough up there.
I know. I tried to get here
I
at 8:30. I couldn't get here in time.
I know.
It's busy. But there's some really interesting data points that I think are, I mean, we're growing as far as population. At the end of 2024, the median age in Hancock County was 40.1. Now, the state average is 38.3. But I will tell you, in 2020, our average age was over 42. So our population is getting younger. And it's getting younger because all those young families moving here. I mean, you know, they're young couples and they've got little kids. So we're skewing in the right direction when it comes to the, not only we're growing, but we're growing younger. That's not what happens most places. You know, I keep saying the same thing. I'm from Henry County. That's where I grew up. That population is shrinking and it's older. It's much older. And something else too. So the state average for people with a college degree is 28.8%. In Hancock County, it's 34.2%. Now, it's always, and that's with a bachelor's degree or higher. And those numbers are skewing higher because not just college graduates, but professionals with doctorates and things like that. So we're skewing that. You're always kind of considered in a good spot if a third of your population has a college degree, which would be 33%, and we're at 34. So again, we're trending in the right direction because people with higher educations tend to have higher incomes. On the other side of that, this is where you want to be about last. Our poverty rate is 5.7%, and out of 92 counties, we rank 89th. So obviously, it's Hamilton, Boone, and Hendricks. that's where the wealth is, and us. We're always third or fourth in all of these data points. The migration, talking about the growth of the population, where people come from. This is one of, if you've got this, pull this out and look at it. The blue side is people moving into Hancock County and where they came from. The pink is when people leave Hancock County, where do they go? And so the biggest one is Marion County. Marion County sent us 2,411 people, and we sent them 1,274 people, so we had a net gain of about 1,200 people. Second on the list is Hamilton County. And that's where all of our new neighbors are coming from. They're coming from Fishers. So Hamilton County sent us 833. We sent them 531, so that's a net gain of about 300. So we know we're growing, but it's nice to know how we're growing and where people are coming from and when they leave, where they go, and that sort of thing. Because growth equals change, and change has benefits and negatives. So the question, as like you want to know where all the houses, where people move into, come, whether it's after the 2030 census or in 3 months, I don't know, but they're going to start talking about redistricting and how do things move and where do the voters go and all that. So there's a lot of things in play. That's just population, that's just life here in Hancock County. What we've been up to, and you know these things. Go ahead.
I had asked Jim at our last meeting since he's our representative to the HEDC, if we could get information or data about companies that have reached out to Hancock County and have actually moved into Hancock County that didn't ask for anything. They just wanted to be here. They didn't ask for an abatement, or they didn't ask for any incentives, that they just needed help finding a location. Do we have that available?
No, and because if that happens, we don't get called. They.
You don't get any calls unless they want abatement?
Right.
Well, Dave Bigo is the only one that I know of.
Well, and Dave Bigo, I mean, that's back in the late 90s, early 2000s, right. So that's a long time ago. The only project that I know that's landed here asked for abatement, didn't get it, and came anyway, and that's Rise Commercial. That one, the one that builds the kind of the entrepreneurship space, the mini
Small storages
small storage for contractors, things like that.
on the very, very west side.
Yeah, that's on,
Oh, they did build anyway.
Yeah.
on 500, that's on 500?
No,
Three north and 7 west.
seven west or eight
Across
west.
from,
Hunter's
Hunter's Chase, right.
Yeah, so that one came in spite of, they asked for incentive, didn't get it, and they came anyway.
Yeah.
But if there are other things,
I just find it surprising that if they decided Hancock County looks like a good place to be, that they don't reach out to you guys and ask what's available, and that they're not chasing an abatement or chasing some sort of an incentive to be given to them if they come.
there's still a lot of stuff that happens that kind of happens behind our back. I know an automotive repair place was looking for space here in Greenfield, trying to take down an old building. But they tend to just call real estate brokers. They're looking for a space, they know commercial brokers, and they call them as opposed to us. Sometimes brokers refer them to us if they say, is there anything that the city or the county can do to help us, get costs down? So then it comes to us that way. Trying to think. For example, when companies come, that starts with them reaching typically to the state, and then the state pushes the request for information out. But, the development community, the GDIs, the Loths, the Red Rocks, they just came directly to us.
Bigger
Yeah.
developments.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
But through October 31st, we've received a total of 103 requests for information. And out of those 103, we responded to 55 of them, which is, that's kind of how it's been for the last 6 years. That is that if we get RFIs, we can respond to more than 50% of them. That didn't used to be the case. If we didn't have buildings or we didn't have space or whatever, we can't. But ever since the big builds has been going on since 2019, 2020, we've got available space. The ones that we don't respond to, the vast majority of those is because they need rail, and we don't have rail access. A lot of it is we don't have, there are some projects that we just know are toxic. And we've said, we just kind of put our hands in our pockets and think, well, there are 91 other counties. They can have that one. If it's something that's going to leach into soils or, I was on the board for 20 years before I took this position. We always told the executive director, we don't want anything that bleeds or belches smoke. That was came from the city. It's like, we don't want it. We don't want dirty. We can be pickier than that. So,
So it'd be interesting to know, though, you said you have 55 actual things you've responded to. How many of those are we actually, would we benefit from? Because we're really not benefiting from you going to Greenfield and doing that stuff. We're not benefiting from the McCordsville and the Fortville stuff that you're doing up there. What are we benefiting from? Because right now, we haven't benefited for anything this year. We lost the thing because they're the sugar foods. Amazon and Walmart were going to buy those buildings whether they called you or not. And then so I mean, I'm just saying, and then you're 55, but it sounds like to me half of those aren't even in our area. If you've responded to 55 things, how many of them are in the county? I think we pay the majority of HED's stuff.
well, I think the majority of things that we respond to are in the county because that's where the buildings are. And politics change. I was thinking about this driving down here. We were on the very short list, as in one or two, for big EV battery manufacturer. Well, policy changed. Elections happen, things get disincentivized. That project went away. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Now, that was the EV battery manufacturers. That was a big thing for about 4 or 5 years. Now the hot topic is data centers. They're, my gosh, out of nowhere, to surprise to everybody, is this group that wants to build a power generation plant. And and they came, they met with the planning department, the county commissioners. I was there. Haven't heard a word since.
They were here yesterday.
I know they're still out there, but they're doing whatever they're doing. But
Meeting.
knock on doors and talk to the neighbors.
Anticipated hearing something in a couple of weeks, but my connections to the Blue River and the folks down there have not seen or heard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had one contact. It was a splash for like 3 or 4 days. Something was on social media and, oh my gosh, and then they wanted to meet, and we had this meeting, and then it just went really quiet, at least as for me. So,
Randy, I think we're running out of time, but I have one quick question, and I don't know if everybody knows, but I know that you are heading up, and lots of entities locally have contributed to fund a study related to what our deficits are in retail.
yes.
And so when would we hear the results of that study?
That's going to finish up in 2026. And yes, we're kind of spearheading that, but Eric is running that side of the house. So she and Heather Chandra, the Main Street person. Mm-hmm. So the first part was doing the gap analysis. Where are the gaps? And so they've done that. And so the next part then is who can fill those gaps and reaching out to those companies. And that's the kind of the 26 work plan. So that will get, we started really at the very beginning of 25. It's going to be 25 and 26. And so you probably know more about that, like in the first, maybe second quarter of next year.
Okay.
Well, we'll bring you back again, so.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, it's, this has been fun this year, because a couple of years it was just really quiet. And now it's not been this busy in about 5 years. A lot of stuff's going on. And, your point to where they're occurring, if something happens in Greenfield and they hire 300 people, well, those people are going to live somewhere, and they're going to have wages, and they're going to pay income tax. So it's always a win. It's just which way you win. You know, and this is a project that would fill up an empty building. So lots of good things are happening, and I'll let the mayor have his day in the sun. Thank you, everybody.
Greg?
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
I should warn you, I stayed up all night because I was so excited. The number guy gets to talk about a bunch of numbers today. So, you know, stand by.
A bunch?
Thanks.
I think we call those nerds, don't we?
I need more coffee for this. I'm out.
So now
We'll
that
take
you've
a
had,
break.
even Tammy said she had extra coffee. So I'm going to go through the report sales result, and then I'm going to give you another report, but I'm not going to hand that out until we go through the sales result. Remember, this is the $6.5 million GEO bond, and I really want to take you through over the last 6 months where we kind of were heading with this. We knew we were going to do a GEO bond this year. Okay, so one of the things that came up very, very early on was, and I'm on page 1 now of this report, was the interest rate. And remember, we modified it to allow for a premium because there was an adjustment, down in the paperwork for whatever reason. You'll notice on page 2, the bonds sold at 4%. The coupons were 4%. Page 1 has $437,000 of original issue premium. And Deb, I'm going to give you where those things go here in just a minute. The next page, page 3, which is the basic bids we received. We received 4 bids, and this was a result. Remember, we can sell a GEO bond either a negotiated basis, and the commissioners were approached by an underwriter to let's just negotiate this deal. Well, this was actually sold competitively, and that is our recommendation for bonds like this, because what happens is you get this competition. Okay, and so as a result of that, you look at the very back page, Hancock County actually got better interest rates than Hamilton County.
Did they not do a competitive bid? Did they negotiate?
No, it was negotiated. Okay, and so that's very, very important. And IPS, you would always negotiate an IPS bond deal because there's too much hair to the bottom.
Out of curiosity, is some of that margin and yield between the AAA Hamilton County and ours because ours is general obligation and theirs is lease rental? Or do you think it's simply the differential is a
lease rental will bring the interest rate cost more for the issuer, but the AAA will bring it, so it's almost comparable.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is what we have to prove to the Securities and Exchange Commission, why we recommend it. It affects your taxpayers, but this goes farther than that. This goes to the Securities and Exchange Commission when they look at these deals and say, why did we do it? Jim, did you take one and pass it around?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So this is the documentation that the Securities and Exchange Commission actually sees. Remember, they don't regulate you, they regulate us and the underwriters, okay? So that's important to understand. Now let's go to the closing report that's being passed out. Okay, if there's no questions on this, and I'll try and stay on time.
Well, Greg, the net interest rate that we're paying, though, is 3.11%, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the bigger
So,
picture.
and so let's go to the letter. So, Deborah, I'm on the closing report, and this is kind of important to your group, okay? As you know, actually, hopefully in about 10 minutes, you'll be getting the treasurer will be getting a wire. So the money is now literally going to be in the bank today. Okay, so it's closing today, this morning, and you should get, Jane should get the confirmation. And so, as a result of getting that premium, if you look at the letter says that, number one, we paid the underwriter's discount from the premium. So that was, the $78,000 was basically eliminated by the premium that we got, meaning the demand for the bonds. Okay, and then if you look at the letter, it says the remaining $358,000 should be deposited in the new debt service fund. So we're going to set up, Deborah and Mary, we're going to set up a debt service fund ASAP. We're going to deposit the $358,000. And what does that mean? That basically means, if we go back to page 3, we already have our first 3 payments set aside. So, George, the tax rate did not change as a result of this bond issue right now. Okay? So that's important to know, and that's why we didn't want to leave that number that was adjusted down. This has really, it paid the underwriter's discount. It's going to pay the first 3 payments, and you didn't pay any more. You will not pay any more than 3.11%. So that's why when you take time over 6 months and you structure it right, and you get your house in order as far as credit rating, and you have, remember the old commercial, when banks compete, you win. Well, that's what it is. When banks compete, you win, and that's what happened. So all in all, I'm on page 2 now. Page 2 is where we will put the funds, Deborah. And so we will have the 6.5, and we'll put the money in. So that little diagram shows you. So we'll now have basically 2 funds, the one with the proceeds, and then the one for the debt service fund. So the way I look at it is we got an incredible win-win, and the timing was just perfect for going out. Interest rates have been going up and down and all around every day. Okay, it just depends on who's blowing up who, and what's going on. So as a result, then it really worked out great. So questions on either report, and please just tell me what report you're on. And Keely, you're working your numbers really, really hard.
Oh, no.
We fed him some raw meat so he could come after me today. But
No,
I don't think he can on
I'm
these.
very happy with the rate. I think it was an attractive coupon, especially with, the market believing the interest rates will fall. And I'm very impressed to see that we got a better rate than an issue the same week of a AAA
1 day later,
entity.
even. Notice we put the days.
Yes.
Okay, so this is our second bond that we've done in the last 12 months, because we did the bond for the trade school, and then we did.
Sure.
So I'm still trying to figure out what the importance of, because the biggest contention we had on the board at one point was Scott's thing about putting a 5.75 or 6% cap and on the coupon. And if you look at the last 20 years or whatever you had on that sheet of bond issuance, it runs from 2.5 to 3.1. So
That's a coupon max, not a net interest max. And so if you're issuing a 30-year bond, you might want to put a 6%, not now, because rates have cut several times since we
Right.
did the other. But when rates were higher, if you want to tell somebody, we will give you a 6% coupon, and the going actual 30-year rate was 4.5, then they would have paid more than par, more than 100 to get the 6%.
But it
They're
just-
basically paying you interest up front to get a higher coupon. And then over time, if interest rates drop because your coupon's higher, your bonds can actually go up in value. You can sell them higher than you purchased them for.
Right. And as an expert in bond issuance and having two security license and a CPA license, that's what we're required to know and what we're required to guide you through. And that's what we do.
Right, but so if you keep your percentage lower, your coupon rate
Or
lower,
closer is how I
it,
look at it.
it.
Which we did.
Closer, it gives you more people that'll bid on it.
No, not necessarily.
No.
It'd be the
No.
opposite.
It'd be the opposite.
Right? Because you may have a handful of people over here that want a coupon of 4%, but you may have another set of them saying, no, I want to give you an extra 1,000 because I want that 6% because I need that cash flow of 6% over the next 10 years. So you actually would limit it to a certain degree, I believe. So, yeah, so. But thank you, Keely. Yeah, your old days are coming back.
Yeah, and that's the good part about being competitive too, is the market sorts that out for you.
Well,
You
if
know,
you-
you
if
see
you-
how close these
You
people
compare
are.
us to Hamilton County, every single bond almost is less than theirs. Now, you look at that sheet, every one of those numbers, we were less than them, just about every single time.
Yeah, because well, first of all, you've got a really good name and you've got a really good credit rating, and the credit rating is in a category where AAA versus a AA plus is not a bad area. And I'm also going to tell you one other thing. I mean, there were people that you guys were on Robin was on the phone call and things like that, I believe, with S&P. The number one issue I'm getting out of S&P right now is developer bonds that are having problems. And so had we gone into like the major data center bond and going out $100 million on that thing, that would have taken a half an hour or 45 minutes to explain. And S&P is coming after every one of those deals and making sure that it's a good deal for the county and not a bad deal for the taxpayer. And there's not something that's been written in there like Plainfield had, where they missed a payment or two because they didn't know about it, and the town, and they dropped to below investment grade rating. And so so you've got to be very, very careful, even when we do these RDC special bonds, that the rating agency is now looking at it very, very hard. We just went through it with Hendricks, and they had good news to tell on each one of them. So it covers everything, everything, even the amplified bonds. So.
I'm going to ask a question they probably,
Sure.
the audience definitely want to. Are these callable or non-callable?
No, we have a call feature.
Okay.
I believe the call feature is, we always put it about half-life.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if we would, you remember, these are ad valorem property tax bonds, so it's not very likely you will get your kitty full of a lot of property tax. And so it's very unlikely, but you could call them. And at a 4%, that'll be a tough one.
Well, especially that, and you never know that far out.
Yeah. No, we did not go that far. This is a very long bond.
6 years, isn't it, maturities?
It's out there to 2036, 10 years.
Call it and issue
And
a
you
new
issue
deal
new
bond.
in 3 years if the rates dropped,
Oh, yes, and the zero.
or one.
Yeah, real low.
Other questions on the bond sale? If not, I
But we
didn't run
can't-
over.
We can't
Okay.
refinance
Would you
that
go on
for
with
3
the
years, what you're saying.
income tax changes analysis, please?
Sure, the small.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the small one, we're still waiting for final approval from DLGF. It is my understanding.
That is
We're gonna
correct.
hit the,
Okay.
So they've received everything in the
Pre-center
timely
bond fast.
manner, any of the changes that they made on that ordinance.
Prices
We
dropped
actually,
below too.
have uploaded all
think
of
it
that
was
to
3 or
Gateway. I've
3
talked to
or
Anna Curley with DLGF, and everything is on course. We're just waiting for a
Yeah.
response from them.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So what we've got then is on the first page here, we've got the lit rate proposed summary. And as you know, what we did is we took up public safety, or we took up PSAP from .04 to .06, which John was already tackling me and say, well, I get some of that money in January. I said 1/12 of the incremental increase. It may be a little more than this because notice,
We've got two that are talking about lip.
Small ones.
Small one. Okay,
the small one, the big one's the
Thinner.
hour long.
the thinner.
Yeah. That's why I asked Jim, the small one.
Thank you.
And so then we've got the audit, which is changing from 3,600,000 to 4,700,000. Now, keep in mind, commissioners, you kind of control the audit. We were originally going to put it in jail lit, and but at this point in time, that's looking good. As you know, we'll be funding the new maintenance facility. I think that's the correct term for the building. Okay. And that will be coming now first quarter. So what we've said is we may need some of this, we wanted it to go into lit additionally so that we would have it purely for the maintenance building, but I think we're fine right now with it in audit. Just don't spend your money before you get it.
Okay, so leave it in edit and then make that transfer once.
If we need it. And so we're hoping we won't need it because Janine, you and I even looked at the balances. I think we're very, very comfortable, but we don't have a full number on the maintenance facility. And so once we get that in first quarter, then we'll be fine to go from there. So in 2026, we'll be cash flowing that. And as I indicated to you, Deborah, the goal is not to do a bond anticipation note or a bond for the maintenance facility, but to cash flow it, because keep in mind, all of these income taxes, which I'll talk at 10, are going away, okay, except the special lit. So, you know, so that will impact all of these. So we'll keep it in, seed it, Commissioner, until if and when we would need it, okay? So, that's it.
Back on the GO bond.
Okay.
The money coming in, there are 2 or 3 funds that we are going to reimburse with that. And I think the auditor is just waiting for the money to hit.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that to come in. We're going to send you an email as soon as we put that money back in there.
Yeah, and then while we're back on that, I think it's important to note that, Mary, you were on the email chain. We reached back out to the fairgrounds and said, you know, tell us how we're doing. She indicated everything was going good. They will be asking for their second tranche, maybe 300,000, but they're ahead of the ball game, and I've only heard great things at this point in time. Now, obviously, we're not funding that $5 or $6 million brand new building, and we hadn't gotten to that point. But I'm waiting to see what their 26 needs are, because it was not perceived to be part of the GO bond. It was my perception.
Yeah, they're hoping to come in to the December next meeting we have and present that.
I've got a question on the estimated local income tax distributions.
Okay.
For example, just take Green Township, 2026, the total distribution is 55,646. And then if you go to your 2028 estimations, 37,704. So those numbers are accurate?
Now, wait a minute. Are you on the small version?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Okay, where'd you see, I thought I heard you say 2028.
Yes.
It says 2026 on the last.
2026.
It says 2028 on the second page.
Oh, where?
That's why I think you have the bigger
Oh,
Same place, same,
Oh, he's looking at
yeah,
the,
you're looking at the wrong
you're
one.
looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, I think you have the
This-
bigger one there.
26 before and after.
That'll be your question later.
Yeah,
ahead of
this is
time.
just
Okay.
the 26
He's gonna do
change.
that for an hour here at 10 o'clock.
It's a little skinny.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's why I have a question.
Well, you can save it to that hour-long discussion.
All right.
Yeah, save that up. I knew you would. You told me you would come after me. So,
Okay.
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 that's all I have at this point.
Okay. Real quickly, before we go on to Walmart, old business. One is animal control. I think the Janine negotiated with the city and came up with the proposed animal control deal for 26, but they also added in 27 with a
two-year
5% increase. And I know, I think you negotiated that, so I think we need to back her up on that. But suggestion I would have, and Janine and I talked about it, is that we add to the agreement someplace that we agree to the 27 number as a 5% increase, as long as that number is commensurate with the county being responsible for the unincorporated areas, so that we get in writing that our basis for paying animal control is we're paying for the unincorporated areas. Is that agreeable?
And,
It's agreeable
And
by
in-
me, yes,
yeah, and
absolutely.
hopefully it will actually end up being a smaller number, because at some point we will have the other municipalities, towns on board, which would
Yeah.
decrease our amount owed, and then so the 5% increase would not,
It will,
it will eat it up. Yeah.
and I think that once we have the December 20, all the numbers, all the correct numbers, and they have a larger municipalities and
Yep. And kind of another discussion with them would be, as Janine pointed out, we need to talk to them about senior services, their contribution to senior services. They have made the 25 contribution of 150,000, but right now, I don't think there's any agreement on their participation for 26.
so we need to, Jim and I'll meet with, following.
And we would be discussing with them that they would agree to pick up half of what the state does not pay for. We would do half and they would do half, whatever that number be. I mean, it's just going to be growing because it's, everything grows in expenses.
And you know, the Hancock Senior Services and the that's why I think we're so very happy to negotiate partner on the animal management. And
You get that negotiated in and completed, that it relieves us from the non-incorporated, or just non-incorporated areas. That'll be super. That'll be the first time in years we've been able to accomplish anything like that.
their new director there, she has the ability to looking at doing some additional tracking John's here too. Be able to add columns, I think is what she, hopefully track between incorporated and incorporated areas. Is that, did I remember that correctly?
Calls that they get directly versus calls that we get. That was where the problems were with the last set of numbers.
And between us and Greenfield, the two biggest issues we've had for years now, and last year, or year before it started with senior services, is that and animal control. And that's been a wedge between us for a long time, so that'd
We
be
just want to
super.
be good partners. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Well,
we're
I
all
know.
in this together and,
It's been tough, though. They didn't start out being good partners, but they cut our 911 funding without any question, you know. So that'd be super if you can fix this out.
And also, the commissioners have sent out the RFP for the master plan for the county farm project.
when did that get published? Do you girls, the RFP for the master plan for the county farm judicial system?
I'm sorry. Master plan for the judicial system.
Yeah,
Still
the
alive when
RFP.
that project goes.
Did that go out
That, I think that just went
Well,
out
I'm
last
gonna
week.
come up
last
here.
week? Last week.
And I did check with the judges on the approval from the state for the juvenile magistrate. They said that's not going to happen until probably April of next year.
The
So that,
decision will be made in April or prior one?
the decision, they said is not going to be made until April. So that's coming up. Shall we take a quick break and then we'll do Walmart?
Yes.
5-minute break?
5 minutes.
All right, we're back on.
I don't know.
We're gonna talk,
We're ready for Walmart tax abatement discussion proposal.
That stuff just because.
Randy? This is Walmart tax abatement proposal. This is just information only. They hope to be at the council meeting. I've
That's
asked Randy to, today to kind of fill us in on what the proposal is.
So some of this is what you heard this summer. They are certainly revising their plans and their ask and their offer. So two gentlemen from Bentonville flew in last week when we had the site tour.
What's that noise?
It's outside.
they're trimming bushes.
Sorry. I was like,
I think you were, look at this.
I thought maybe it's your mic, somebody's mic or
No.
something.
So anyway, since they flew in last week, I said, this is just informal. It's kind of an overview of what's going on. They didn't need to fly back in this week, but they will fly in next week. For the equipment, the robotic equipment to go in the fulfillment center. Two things. First of all, so we tried to organize a tour. A lot of people were unavailable, but Mr. Shelby and Mr. Wooldridge and I went through the facility last Tuesday. And the gentleman that took us through lives in New Pal. I don't know what his formal title is. He's basically the operations director. He runs the place. His name's Andrew Fair, like we're going to the fair. And if you want to take his number down, 317-627-6305, because he said he's very proud of his facility and he would love to take you guys through. So if you couldn't make it last Tuesday, if you want to give him a call, he will set up a time and take you through. So with that, because you spent a lot of time with him, were we there maybe a couple of hours?
Yeah, around 3 hours.
Okay.
2 to 3 hours.
So what were your perspective, just on what you saw?
Oh, well, I think it's what you kind of expect, but it's even bigger than you imagine. The technology is, I mean, there are people still working there. It's not all robotic. So, and there's a lot of people that watch it. And there's also, I think a big thing that Mr. Shelby and I learned was that even though they give us the numbers of how many people work there, there's also like independent contractors for those companies that come in and do work there. So there's much more people impacted with the jobs there than you imagine. We learned that 15, I mean, it was a little disappointing, but 15% of the people are Hancock County residents, including Mr. Fair. I obviously, he's a constituent of mine. I didn't ask how much he makes, but I know where he lives, so I know he makes good money. I mean, I deduct that from my financial abilities. So, it was important to listen. And so we have constituents there, and I know it's just 15%, but the farthest person comes from Hendricks, because when Hendricks burned down, they gave them the option to come out here. Hendricks has already built another facility. Everything in there can fit in, everything that they do there can fit in a tote, probably like this big. And so it's all the small items that they ship out of there. Everything's for Walmart Plus. The location, we're not in competition for location too much, other than with people from Ohio, Kentucky, because they want to be in this region because they can serve about 90% of the population. About, I forget, was it 25% of all Walmart Plus orders come from that facility? But you gotta remember, it's only the small items that they're doing. And the reason they're getting that next building is so they can do, because I asked them, I said, where's the TVs? They said, they don't fit in the tote. That's where our next building's gonna be. They're gonna handle all the things he mentioned earlier, plus televisions and any other item that can't fit in that small tote. But it's amazing how these robotics, essentially, from the moment that the truck comes in, the person takes the conveyor belt, brings it into the truck, loads it in, it goes through the whole system. And from that point, nobody touches it until you have an order, and the person's standing on a lift type station, so to help their back, and they rotate positions. That's another good thing. And they essentially they find the item in the tote. It tells them, they scan it in, they put it in the box. The boxes are all pre-made. they don't touch the boxes, and that's the only part they actually touch the product, is about that point unless something goes wrong where they have to get involved. So obviously, they also took us all the way to show us the place that, although Mr. Fair would like to see it probably be a basketball court facility.
It's the size of a field house.
Yeah, there's a room for them to expand and to bring in all this technology they'd have to bring. And they've also, and I think you could probably go into it, but they've essentially renegotiated with us probably better terms for the public. You know, it's not gonna be a 10-year, they're gonna start giving some money. I think you can go through the details there of what they're gonna offer.
Nothing.
So, well, no, they're making offers. They're also gonna bring jobs in. Before they had no jobs, now they're gonna bring in, I think, around 200.
Yeah, and I've not seen the SB one yet. They were.
So once but it's a little better. I don't know if that will be good enough to get passed through us, but I mean, this is an opportunity that obviously we've talked about before that, you know, if you want a company like Amazon and Walmart to expand here and to be a strong presence here and obviously employ people that live here, I could tell you, hopefully Mr. Fair can come here. He's very involved in the public. I know Walmart pushes that with him. He's on the
Mount Vernon Education
Foundation Board. His kids go to New Pal. He lives in the New Pal district. He coaches at New Pal for their third grade Heat team, I think. So, you know, he's very involved in the community, and it was pretty interesting getting to talk to a constituent that works there, and that was pretty nice.
And that was not rehearsed. I thought, you're sick and tired of hearing me say the same things over and over again. It's like, but I also think that's why you guys need to try to get a chance to go through there, because it sort of defies description. You've just got to see the enormity of it all. Mitchell and I were in there a month ago, and they did, I think the day after we were there, they did a press tour. So they had some media folks going through. But you know, you've got time, give Andrew a call and take a couple of hours and go see it, because it is still the biggest building they have anywhere on planet Earth.
So if we're going to open the worms back up and talk about it, I mean, if you remember, I seconded the motion on the abatement, the 5-year abatement, the last time. So I voted positive for the scenario last time, even though it was voted down. And I've had a lot of time to reflect on the smaller companies too coming in and wanting personal property tax and everything. And so I started, you know, reflecting on what I pay in personal property tax and why I pay a personal property tax for my equipment, which I don't know why. Okay, it's a very non-business penalty. Okay, it is not good for personal property taxes. If you put it into a normal person saying, you buy a lawnmower, okay? You pay a tax when you buy that lawnmower, but now what they're saying is you got to pay a tax to own that lawnmower, even though it never leaves your property. And it's a piece of your equipment, but you're still paying a tax on it every year. That's what I do, okay, with my equipment at my business.
Greg, didn't they change the guidelines for personal property filings to $2 million if you're under that threshold that you don't have to file? So
Absolutely, for 2026.
yeah,
For
so-
2026,
Yeah, starting
okay.
next year,
Right.
it's a $2 million.
You probably won't in the future.
Yeah.
In the future,
So I was
yeah.
trying to help you out with that.
Well, yeah, no, it hasn't been in the past. I mean, I've been.
Make it positive, Mary.
Uh,
trying,
yeah,
I'm trying.
and so, and even when we were talking about the smaller company, it was like, well, there's a 30% floor, and then, you know, we were only talking about a 30% of them, and it's even at a 5-year, it's a descending scenario, you're only paying half the tax in 5 years, and you're already at 30% floor. So if you calculate all that, they're only paying 30% of the tax anyway, or only abating 30% of the tax.
And that goes to 10%
Right.
after 2026.
Right, and so,
Yeah, they changed that
it was,
too, didn't they?
when
Yes.
another company came up and said, we want that, it was kind of like, yeah, we should give them that they're not asking for much at all, and they were wanting to be here for 20 years, but it is a non-business, and in some cases it could be a business killer, and If, you know, if there is companies that we rely on, like Walmart, which we rely on Walmart way too much, but there's nothing we can do about it. You're doing retail surveys, and without Walmart, we're screwed in this community.
Why?
Huh?
Why are you screwed if you don't have a Walmart?
Well, because Greenfield relies on Walmart for probably 75% of its retail sales. You know, I mean, and we don't have anything else here. We have the worst Kroger in the state of Indiana for food. You know, I'm just being realistic.
New Pal's getting a new one.
New Pal. Okay, yeah, great. New Pal's getting one. Yeah, you guys in McCordsville can drive to.
Portable's getting a
Yeah,
Meyerville
yeah.
outside.
Well, we're not getting anything here. You know what I mean?
Sounds like your economic development director needs to work on that.
Well, it's a bad deal. We're in a but you know, I hope we can come to some, especially, and it's a negotiation, okay? And if they've come back on the table and said, okay, yeah, we understand the shortcomings, you know, this and that, I'm hoping we can come to some negotiation and hoping that we can encourage them to continue to stay in the community.
They're not going anywhere.
And
Yeah,
continue to
they're not going
keep
They're not going
expanding.
anywhere.
They're not going
No, I understand, but at the same time, we're almost too greedy with our taxes. It's like, I'm
going to tread very lightly. It has nothing to do with this project, but I told you a while ago that there's been a nice win, that something's coming here. We were competing with Ohio, and Ohio doesn't have business personal property tax.
Nope, that's why.
And see, that's, to
There was a
me, that's
$24
where it needs to
million
be taken care
gap
of, not
that
at
we
the
had to
local
try to find
level.
a way to close.
These abatements, to me, are so archaic. They are obsolete, that they need to do away with personal property in the state of Indiana and have an even playing field for those businesses that are competing with the other states as well as ours. And I
Ohio kicks
believe
our
the
butt on
intent
this
that
stuff.
eventually it's going away, but I don't know at what date.
It is, Mary, but remember, there are counties that 50% of their AV is personal property. So Hancock County is very, very lucky. So the problem is that will devastate some. See,
But won't that $2 million base devastate them as well?
what the state is trying to do is phase it over a period of time so they can wean them and then move to 2028 LIT.
I have a problem with abatements that come in asking for it, and they're going to come whether they get it or not. And then I start thinking about all the other businesses out there that are paying their tax bills, paying their personal property taxes, and not asking for anything. And technically, they probably should be receiving it more so than the big companies who are going to move here regardless if they get the abatement or not. So we are subsidizing our fire departments, we're subsidizing E911, we're subsidizing our sheriff's department because we are taking monies that are abated away from their budgets. And that's my vision on all of that, personally.
What is the proposal?
5 years.
Isn't that what they came for last time, or no?
For 10-year. So it was, because they got 10-year when they built. They got
Well, on
10
real
year-
estate, they got 10, but personal usually never goes beyond 5.
They got 10-year tax abatement on the personal property in 2020.
For what's there right now.
Yeah,
Is it
They were
2021 or
10
20?
years for,
we got them to come here because
think
of
they
the
should be-
10-year tax abatement on personal property.
That's why they asked, so
wow.
They probably wouldn't have come.
their SB 1 from 2020 was $456 million in robotics. And they got 10-year tax abatement, 10% per year, declining, just like we did for the real estate. They got out of the real estate and the personal property. So they were doing $440 million, so that's why they asked, what they asked for is what they got the first time.
Right.
That what they asked was consistent. Based on what we heard last week, I mean, when they were here in July, it was the tax guy that came. When they came in 2020, it was the government relations person. And the government relations person, who at that time lived in Carmel, now he lives in Bentonville, he flew in last week, and that's who was telling the story last week, Kevin Thompson. And he's coming back, and he'll be here next week. I hate to put words in his mouth, but the bottom line was 5-year tax abatement on the business personal property. And out of that, there would be monies coming back to the community.
So break that down again, though, 5 years, okay, that's 50% of the tax, okay, with a 30% floor.
Just the, I've tried
Because
to
they'd
pull
still
it.
have the floor,
No, I
the
don't-
30% floor?
Well, if it's brand new property installed after, I believe, 1/1/26, it will not be a 30% floor.
But the floor is still in place right now. The floor
Yes.
is still in place.
But why would
Yes.
you put it in
For
before?
25.
Yeah, why would you put your equipment in before January 1st if you, yeah.
You gotta remember, though, they filed their application for tax abatement back in April. And everyone said, let's just sit on this because we don't know what the General Assembly's gonna do. They're behind. They were their goal was to get the tax abatement,
Can't use
however
the
that resolved,
30% floor
in May
as
and start
an example.
installing in August. Now, they're not installing it yet, but
There is a floor.
the bit to go. They are not gonna wait till January 1st. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because that 1 million square foot building, they're gonna do some things in it, and that's a 2026 project. So they're trying to wrap up this stuff in 2025.
And I'm saying this from memory because I don't have it in front of me, but the personal property 103 long that they file, the first line of the first,
Form 103.
yeah, the first, I can't think of the section numbers. I believe it's not abated, but it's depreciated down to like 45% for the first year. And then it jumps back up to 65% the second year. So then after you do all of your additions and calculations, you take that number and plug it in on the second page. And then you calculate 30% of what that base amount was in the beginning before the deduction for the depreciation. And they use whichever one is higher, not lower, higher. So their first year, they would be paying 45% of whatever they're claiming. Let's say it's $440 million. Their first year would be 45%. Their second year would be 65%, not 30. 30 only comes into play when it gets down to years, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it drops below 30%, and then the form pulls it back up to 30% that you can't pay less than. And then that's when that 30% goes away, that it's going to end up being nothing. But those first few years is a substantial amount of money.
So you said it's capped at 10% after,
Actually, it is capped at whatever pool.
Pool, that's the word I couldn't remember. Yes.
Generally, we associate it with pool 2 or 3, and the bottom percentage is 10%. But there are some that goes
But that could be
above.
10 years
You
away.
had done a report on this one.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Ah,
Pool
they
1
didn't-
is
they didn't
more of your
track them like
technical
that.
equipment that they have to replace, like computers
You
and things that
assumed
wear out.
pool 2.
Pool 4 goes all the way down to
Oh, can I see that? I
manufacturing
was
that
gonna ask
lasts
about that again.
for years and years.
They're
and
using
years.
your numbers.
And this already accounted for those changes in the floor and this, right?
Subject to check, yes, but I believe.
This was May.
They were putting property in now, not after the effective date. But I'd have to review it, Keely, to make sure. I
Yeah.
have to look at that.
Yeah, I just don't want you to think that the 30% is the floor because it's not. Not the
but
first 3 or 4 years.
it's not a total 50%.
No, the second year it's 65%. The first year, I think it's 40 or 45%.
But what's the third, fourth, and fifth?
Aren't
I
they
don't- I could pull the form
proposing
up.
some
Last
contributions
year's
also?
probably.
10. There's one pool that it's
Where that
5.
gets
They
sent
have
to
plug it
is
into
something
the
that
pool
you
according
guys
to
kind of
what
need
it
to
is,
set
so.
policy on that, but their goal is to push back out 100,000 a year for each year of the abatement.
For the term of the abatement?
It's like the fire department.
Yeah, right, yes. So I said, they want to contribute 100,000 a year, so if 5-year abatement would be $500,000. And it's kind of like wherever you guys want it. So they're not saying they're going to put it to the fire department or the township trustee or whatever. That's a conversation they want to have with the policymakers. So they're saying, there's a checkbook, we're going to give $100,000 a year. You tell us where you want it to go.
And in addition to
But they
that, this would start the 5% contribution new too, which they pay out of their tax savings. That goes to us and we help fund HEDC with that. And that is a minimum of 100,000 a year.
Randy, will they be having any kind of paperwork? Are they sending that to us for next week's meeting, or will that too just be informational?
No, that, they should have
And
their
pool
application.
four is 5, and that's usually equipment that.
For Friday.
Okay, and are we charging them another $500 application fee?
So it depends on which pool, but there's definitions for each pool.
Well, because, I mean, I got, because that comes to me, I already got the first one, that's just greedy. Buys their application.
Okay, so, okay, as of right now, we don't have any paperwork, so if you could get that to us.
I told them that after we talked today, I would say yes.
You gotta understand the pool.
Okay. So any more, Randy, any more information you want to give us?
Well, there will be a project in 2026, which they are still scoping out the parameters of that, which is on the 1 million square foot building. My understanding is it won't have robotics because it's not that kind of a fulfillment center, but they'll probably be buying racks and forklifts and things like that. So, but that'll be a future conversation. They're not ready for that one today.
I think with personal property going away in time, that what equipment they put into that really is not going to be as much relevance to us as it is how many jobs are they going to create for income tax purposes.
Correct. And again, they've only talked in ballpark at this point.
200 more people is what they're saying.
Yeah, this was 0 when they first came, and
Yeah.
now they're
Well,
talking
that's no
200.
zeros in the existing building that they're going to expand in, 200's in the other new building.
No.
There are going to be jobs with this one too.
Oh, yeah, but
So please don't hold me to these numbers, but it's like 200 in the current facility and 250
It was
in the
0
next one.
before?
yeah. they're gonna have
So
0.
what happened, what changed that from 0 to 200? If it's just robotics?
That's not going to be just robotics.
Yeah.
That's what the first
No,
application
they
was.
screwed it up. They flat out said we got that wrong.
I think we're
We-
just going to start over.
Yeah,
There
they're
are some
starting
people running
That's
the
why the
robotics.
guy is flying in.
Yeah, but not 200.
Robots don't.
And they don't currently.
Well, not
it's all-
200
that's
people,
why I
though,
tried to
maybe
explain, it's not all
5.
robotics. It's mostly robotics.
Robotics, but it's not.
But there's still people that monitor everything. There's tons of people in the room that monitor it. And there's people going around because there's those machines. There was a box that stopped while we were there. There's somebody to go and fix the machine and get the boxes back to going.
So actual employees that they have just over 1,600 employees that are Walmart employees. KNAPP, K-N-A-P-P, that's an industrial engineering firm. That's who installs the robotics and maintains those robotics. And they've got a crew there 24/7.
That was like, what, 150 or 125?
It was over 100. I
Yeah,
don't
it
remember
was.
the
It
number.
was over 100 that come in.
Those are third-party contractors that are on site all the time.
Right.
So they would, go ahead.
I was not here when the vote was taken on Walmart. I was watching live on YouTube. And what I was prepared for at the time to support was a 3-year. And that was based on this math at the time that if we did that, and it looks like a 15% floor for pool 2 was assumed in this math we got. But this is back in May, right? Legislation was not probably totally done. But this assumed pool 2, and it assumed by the 7th year you're at a 15% floor. And over 10 years with a 3-year abatement only, they would pay about $17 million and receive an incentive around $8 million. So they were paying twice as much as they were saving. And I thought that that was fair enough. I agree with Kent ideologically. I don't even believe in the tax. But the fact is, departments that we have to fund are dependent on it. When we moved into the 5-year abatement, when it had a 15% floor, it left them paying $13.4 million and saving $12 million. And that didn't include the $100,000 a year. So, you're getting basically to half off, but this assumes the 15% floors in effect by year 7.
Here's a correction, though, that we need. Remember, SEA 1 did say that if you're in a TIF district, you do not go below the 30% floor.
Oh, yeah, pre-existing ERA, right? That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because we told
So-
Sugar Foods that they wouldn't get.
So, and remember, I told you that the state was struggling with coming up with two different Form 103s. Okay, now, remember, I'm telling you, SB2 is coming to a theater near you. I coined that term, okay? And so that's likely to change it if your TIF is not dependent on funding bonds for the 30% personal property. So I'm looking for a technical correction because the state's going to literally have to come up with two different Form 103s, Randy. And I don't know if you heard me say that or if you heard anybody else say that, but that's what they're working on. And if you're in a TIF district, you will be subject to.
That's going to be a nightmare for the assessor.
Would you be equipped to update just the 3 and 5 year and redistribute it to us?
My staff, I text them, my lifeline, and they said we did assume that, but we'll double check that. Yes.
Okay, if we, before they come before us, if we could see
Doesn't go
3 and
down to
5
15,
again.
It stops at 30.
Thank you.
For me.
If what he says,
Okay.
the
It's true.
SB1
Okay.
stays in effect.
Anything else? Let's not get too wrapped up here.
No, thank you, Lindy.
Okay?
Pardon me?
I said, thanks for the information.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for filling us in.
Well, it's been a busy year.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I know you're excited,
Yes.
I know.
But it goes slow.
but just,
One of
you know,
the
kind of
things Randy did
hold it
point-
in.
Randy did point out to me, remember with our credit rating, it's a team approach. The AA+ that we have is a reflection of economic development. It's a reflection of the good governance that the commissioners have done, because we didn't have any undisclosed liabilities and things like that. And it's the awesome financial reviewing the fund balances and all those other things. So it takes a team, right? And we got to stay as a really good team. That's what the credit rating's all about. And the auditor's office and the fine accounting system when you go to double entry accounting and pull every hair you got out. So stay tuned.
I thought it was just my salesmanship at the bond, or at the.
Just be
rating.
careful
Sorry.
of
It was. I
going
laid it
to a
on
new
thick.
accounting
There's no I in
system
team.
because we
I know.
gotta know the costs
I
of
laid it
doing
on thick
that.
stuff.
Oh yeah, 500,000 will cost you.
Telling you
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So,
well, let me just bring my, I asked
please.
Greg to come in and start talking to us about the possible changes that we're gonna be faced with. This is just the start. This is not a one-time, so, you know, you may have a lot of questions. Maybe you want to save them for the next round.
We've used up all the questions.
We're gonna put in an hour of listening, and you can ask questions, but this is not a one-off, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
We'll be doing this probably every budget meeting until
2028.
we make decisions.
yeah. And what I almost
Mary
would,
and I quit,
So we're gone.
till we're gone.
and what I would almost suggest, and I'm going to have this, when I do this in Monroe County next week, I'm going to put SB1 in big letters here on the front. You might write that, because what's going to be interesting is when we take SB1, and remember, SB2 will not really be labeled 2, but you know, we'll have the comparative changes as we go.
But Greg won't be, okay, there are always changes coming up.
Corrections.
Can't we try and understand the basics?
That's
that
where I'm going
probably
first.
are not going to change.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to
The
try and
basics.
go first, Jim.
Not
And-
maybe the weeds, but
Okay, and then one of the basics that's not going to change is, remember, the state was adamant about taking LIT. This is very, very important if you don't hear anything else I say today. Okay, disconnecting it from property taxes, which is how we allocate it now to all the different units, because the county collects the rate as a whole. and the state says distributed upon property taxes, okay? In 2028, their plan is to decouple that entirely, okay? And you're even going to, that decoupling is even in the library legislation, okay?
To what?
To more of, it depends on the entity, okay? And that's going to be explained as I go, okay? And, but remember the old days, we used to, if we had a maximum levy appeal and we got $1 million more of taxes, everybody said, awesome, now we get an extra 10% on our LIT, on our income taxes. So it paid dividends to raise your property taxes, right? For the maximum levy. We saw Buck Creek be able to do that. We got it. We did it before. So, and even there was, when you issued debt, that levy helped you get more income taxes. So they've been going away from it and dissecting and taking all those out. And in 2028, it is not connected to property taxes in any way, shape, or form, period.
But isn't it true that, kind of looking at it from 30,000 feet, the state is going to have us collect less in property taxes due to whatever it is you want to call it, but we're going to collect less in property taxes, and we're going to have to make up, if we assume we want the same level of expenditures as we have now for everything, we're going to have to make up for that loss with income tax or something, but probably income tax.
Yes.
So we're going to have to raise the income tax to make up for that.
And
Aren't you
so
talking about getting rid of income tax?
the 30,000 foot level, Jim's right. Remember, appeals are being taken away, growth appeals are being taken away. The growth quotient is liable to go to 0. Remember, you got 4, but the state said we're taking 2 away on average. And so, the growth quotient for 27 and 28, I'm betting that it's going to be 0 or close to it. So Jim's right. And AV for residential will go down. Keep in mind, tax rate will go up, okay? But that's in the property tax world. Okay, let's go to page 1. Okay.
What's the front look like?
Page 1, as it stands right now,
Page 1 of what? Which?
page 1 of the 2028 document.
The really thick packet.
Yeah.
The thick one, the really thick one.
We already did 26. Now we're going to 28. Yeah. Okay. So on page 1, generally what's going to happen is the county is going to get the right to go up to 1.2% on total adjusted gross income in the county. Okay? Notice I said get the right. Okay? And I've already showed you in the sustainability back in September what the break-even rate is, and I'm going to show you that again. Okay. Fire protection in EMS, we know that world is going to change. We also know the state, as I've told you, I think they're going to start mandating districts, okay? A district or quadrant districts, just like what's working in Allen County and some things like that. So, and how they'll do that is with the 0.40, and again, I'm going to break all these down in a little bit more detail. So, the non-municipal civil taxing units, you're going to see who all those are. The max rate is 0.20, again, on the entire adjusted gross income of the county. All 3 of these are, okay? So, next one, we've got the small cities and town services. This is, remember, again, the county council is the supreme commander over all LITs going forward after 2028, except the city of Greenfields. They get their own right, okay? So these small cities and towns, it will be your job to levy a tax rate to fund them. Now, the first thing I get out of a county council is, why would I want to do that? My answer is, why would you want 10 small municipalities that don't have any money and come to you and say, here's my town, take it over now? And so that could be the worst case scenario. I don't think you want that, okay? I don't think that would be real fun. And so, you know, because that might mean water, sewer, that might be the clerk treasurer, that might be everything. So, you know, that's going to be the hard one to think about. The next one then is, or large cities and towns. So Greenfield will get the right, like you, to levy 1.2% on the income in Greenfield.
Isn't Fortville and McCoursville both population over 3,500?
It's in here, so I would assume yes, so
Yeah.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But anybody over 3,500 will get their right to do their own 1.2.
Not just Greenfield.
Right, I just use that as an example, but thank you, Mary, for
Well, I
pointing
thought
that out.
maybe it had to be a bigger number.
The
That I
details
didn't-
are coming.
Okay.
Okay.
And that doesn't come out of our,
No, sir.
okay.
Nor does the one above it, the non-municipal. Notice that these all add up to 2.9, which is the maximums, okay? But keep in mind that if you took the 1.70 plus the 1.20 and add the 1.20 again, that would be higher than 2.9. You're either in the city or not in the city, or in the town that's bigger than 3,500. Mary, the other one that's going to be kind of interesting is Cumberland.
Oh, I forgot
Will
about them.
they dissect it and say 3,500 population of Cumberland is in Hancock County, so therefore that is a right? That one, I haven't seen that jump ball
I forgot about
yet.
them.
But that's going to be a strange one. Okay. So let's go to page, Paul Harvey, page 2. I just put this in here. This is the timetable. What I'm saying is, in less than 24 months, we're going to have our act together, and I'm saying July and August of 2027. But what I think will change, Jim, is it'll get delayed by a year. I'm pretty certain that might happen, but stay tuned.
Right now, we've got to work with, to what there is, right?
Yeah, and July, and you know, it took how long for one lit ordinance to go through DLGF? If we have 250 of them go through DLGF, we may be starting in January of 27 to get it done by 28. So it's going to be kind of intense. Okay, let's go to page 3. Now, what page 3 is kind of summed it all up here on where we stand today. And as Kent was a quick study, he went to 2028, but right here, you know, is 2026 only, and how it's being collected. And keep in mind, everything other than the library special purpose is basically going away. So Old Cadgett, Public Safety, Economic Development, PSAP, and Jail LIT. That is not, if you go around to the Association of Counties, that is not necessarily true for every county. If they had special legislation, special purpose lit, at this point in time, it's assumed those will not go away. So you got to be careful when you talk to other people in other counties. They may have some, like for instance, the 60 basis points in Rush County, I do not believe is going away. They use that for their jail, 60 basis points. That's a hell of a lot. Okay.
So does that mean that those people could pay up to 3.5%?
Yes,
Wow.
but stay tuned.
That live in Rush County, that would live in Rushville, and they all max it out, everything maxed out plus that special. So we don't have a special let here.
Well, we have the
Well, you got
library.
this special, the library
Called special
special.
purpose in
Okay.
pie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to talk at 11 and things are going to go there. Okay, now let's go to 2028, page 4. Okay, what we've kind of assumed here is that the county would, and the detail to some of the numbers are following in the other pages, but this kind of summarizes where we think we will end up. And then, Kent, you were saying, well, wait a minute, when you take one of those numbers from 26 and one of those numbers from 28, it might be going down.
Might be.
And it might be going up.
Well, no,
and it might
it's
be
going
going
down.
all around. Okay?
Okay.
So stay tuned, and we kept the
Passenger
special
seatbelt.
purpose lit separate. Okay. Now, let's look at page 5. This is where we kind of get into the details. And please, notice this plus. Okay, circle that plus. I tried to have my staff make that as big as we can. Okay, so on the left-hand side, what we said was, what is likely to occur on the county side? Well, the very first one, county services, is 0.65. That is what I disclosed in the sustainability as the number that would recover what we're currently collecting out of our total 1.74 that's being charged here in Hancock County. Remember, that's though distributed on property taxes, nothing related kind of right here.
Does it make up for the loss in property taxes?
No. That was a break even, nor did it really provide for you're going to have to give wage increases each and every year. And so that is why I believe practically they said you will need to review the lit each and every year, because if your property growth quotient is 0 and you don't have much growth in your income, this is where we're going to be highly dependent on Randy and jobs.
So if the growth quotient goes to 0, but we continue to grow, we will still get to capture the additional AV that we created in that new year prior to the year before, won't we?
Yes. So, and hopefully, Mary, let's play that out. Let's say we get AV of 10%, okay? And if that happens, what's going to happen is we will drive down the tax rate rather than get the tax rate to $3. Remember, the state said we want everybody to $3 because then there's no more circuit breaker, okay? Well, we will lessen the circuit breaker impact. So to a certain degree, Jim's question to me is incorrect, the way I answered it, because the weeds would say if we have less circuit breaker, we realize more real property taxes. Because remember, if we have property taxes of $100 and we have circuit breaker of $20, you only get 80 in real dollars, right? Real, nominal dollars. And so if circuit breaker, because of that AV, is only $10, then we would realize $90. And so that would be an extra 10 in the property tax pool, but we're not expecting that, okay? And remember, that would have to continue at those levels, high levels, and continue it.
If we run out of farm ground on the west side, there's going to be more houses.
Yes, but farm ground is valued, it's going down, but yes, you're right. There's going to be more houses, but also remember, houses are going to devalue. I gave you that, 3 or 4 years ago. The gross isn't, but the amount property taxes are going to be kind of going down because the homestead credit, but we won't get into that. Okay, so what we then said is fire and EMS would be, we just said 40 basis points. We've calculated a 0.05 for the non-municipal. So what we said was that the subtotal would be about 1.10. Now, we did go ahead and add in the special purpose lit. As you know, my recommendation on the library is it's currently 0.15. I think the libraries have sent a resolution to you asking for it to be go to the legislature and adjust that, but we'll be talking about that a little bit more at 11, right? But I just put it in here at 0.2. Okay, the current lits down below, and I misspoke when I did not include the current 2026 is 1.94. I said 1.74. It's 1.94 here, and that's how it's split down there in the 26. Now, if you go to the far right, what will happen? Well, in unincorporated Blue River, we would have an additional. Greenfield would have additional. So what we've done is assume that Greenfield and anybody over 3,500 would probably go to their 1.20. Now, keep in mind, you also have the right to go to, at current, 1.20. Okay? We did not assume you went there in this analysis. So,
What
go
about
ahead.
unincorporated areas? I'm kind of confused why unincorporated says 0.07. I mean, I would think that'd be 0.
Well, remember, okay, go back to the first page, okay? The first page said you get the right to fund the unincorporated or the non-municipal civil taxing units. That's what they are, Scott. Okay, you get the right to basically levy a tax on that area so that you can fund the townships and things like that. So stay tuned. It's coming up.
To answer Scott's question, though, is that because that 0.07 is equivalent to what they're receiving right now in Cadget that will go away?
Pretty much.
Okay,
yes.
so you're replacing the elimination of Cadget with that 0.07, basically.
Yeah, so this is the
you're not
summary.
trying to
Let's
grow
go to
it,
the next
just
page,
replace it.
okay? The next page is how we got to your 0.65, okay? So if you look to the far right, you see the lit revenue of 23 million, okay? The 23 million backs into the 0.65. I think the sustainability had 0.62, and we rounded it up. And what that does is brings in around 23 million. At 1.2 for the county and the county only, you would bring in 44 million. So the obvious question as we get to 27 at this point in time is where would you want to land? Okay, somewhere in between. The good news is the cap of 1.2 is not going to mandate you cut services. In some places it is, okay, because it's not high enough in some counties, okay. In some cities, 1.2 is not enough. I can tell you, Bloomington, Monroe makes out like a bandit, Bloomington does not, okay. Here's what I'll just throw it out. What's liable to happen is the city rate could go up. Let's say it went up to 1.5. The county association has to make sure that the state doesn't take it out of your 1.2. Okay? So if they say, oh, wait a minute, we can't have it go higher than 2.9. You with me, Scott? And the cities above 3,500 get the right to go to 1.5, and they say we can't go over 2.9. Most of the counties don't need 1.2. Let's bring them down to 1. Okay? Under the next change.
If they change the law.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, that's not how it's written right now. Okay.
No. So you guys are on parity, but parity doesn't appear to be working in all the places. So stay tuned. Okay? So that is the number one question. Then notice we put the note down there, does not include lit for property tax relief. The state did give you the right to levy up to 0.30 to give property tax relief. But remember, the state's giving the property tax relief too by the $300, which they're taking away from you already, okay? Because you're getting more lost revenue. Remember all that discussion over the last couple of months? And so everybody's, we have not figured that in, and most people are saying, wow, we might look at that 2 or 3 years down the road, but at this point, we got to fund our own services. So I think that's important to think about.
So you could levy an income tax of 0.3 on what looks like, 3.6 billion?
Yes.
And then how is the reduction of property tax distributed across?
So back to page 1, it says, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
allows a maximum of 0.30 for homestead property if enacted by the county. My assumption is we would do it similar to we do it now. Remember, we used to give it to 2% properties and everybody, and years ago we pulled it all the way back to just homesteads. And that was that Robin would have to remember that. It became just homesteads, not duplexes, not apartments, not all. And Mary, I think you were around, and Jim, you definitely were around when we did that. So
that's like $11 million.
$9,205,000 countywide in 2026 is the
Oh, that's
note.
the 0.25. I probably right. I calculated the 0.3. Are you using 0.25 or?
That's the actual. I'm not sure. How much is our homestead credited?
Well, I think somewhere in here it gave.
Property tax relief is 0.25.
Yeah, I did 0.3 because that was the max.
Okay.
So, 9 million, 11 million.
Yeah.
And we have how many homesteads ballpark? Deb?
I
would you-
don't have that
Not a
number
clue.
offhand.
Oh,
I
we
was
had
just-
that in our sustainability, and
I don't
I
remember.
forget it.
I was just
Is it
trying to
86?
ballpark how many dollars on average a homestead would save on the property tax by doing that.
Bet you one girl did listen.
Yeah, but keep in mind, they're already saving because the taxable value is going down because of the additional state homestead, and then also the lesser of 10% or $300. So Keely, they're getting property tax relief now over the next 5 years scheduled out. Okay?
Yeah.
And so that's why this one's on pause more.
On pause, you mean as far as us deciding we like it, or on pause in the legislature?
On pause as far as most counties are concerned at enacting something to do that, because they want to see the legislative impact as it finally plays out. Okay? So.
And Greg, looking at your county share of certified lit, there's nothing in there for like bond payments? What are we?
Correct. Well, the jail lit would be for bond payment, but you would assume it within your 65. So your 0.65, Jim?
So that you ought to be adding in also the bond payments
Well,
to our need.
it's assumed by adding in the 7,364,000, which includes the bond payment.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because the jail lit of 7,364,000 does two things: our bond payment and our operations.
How about the GO bonds?
Now, GO bonds are ad valorem, have nothing to do with lit.
And I assume there's no way, but just total curiosity, on that property tax relief income tax, that's on every dollar of income that you earn in a year. There's no like means of saying income over 50,000 or anything like it.
Not
It is
that,
every
yeah.
dollar of income for every income earner.
That's the way I understand it.
Figured.
Yeah.
And this doesn't take into account the loss in property,
Correct.
the 0.65.
Correct. That's why I told you the window is, 0.6, the 1.20 to 0.65, and will change over the next year or two driven by income growth. Okay, so it doesn't take into account income growth, and it doesn't take into account need growth from the county budget. It was assumed to break even at this point. So give you the floor and the ceiling.
But it's not really break-in because we're losing the property tax,
Just have to make that up, yeah.
aren't we?
Well,
$300
it's hard to pencil out.
right now.
So yes, you're losing that in 2026, yes. So I don't put the 0.65 is the absolute floor. It would need to be higher than that, period.
Okay.
But it's, again, how high do you want to jump? And again, the cities over 3,500 or towns may not need 1.2. They may only go with 80.
But can't you calculate how much loss there is in the property tax?
In version number 2, yes. Matter of fact, it's in your sustainability, and I think we said it was almost $1 million in September, Jim.
Significant.
Per year?
Well, it even grows more.
Right.
So you take the $1 million hit, period, that stays, yes, and then it grows incrementally after that because we projected that out in the sustainability for 3 to 5 years.
One more question. It's fuzzy on me now.
Remember, this also impacted the rating. They wanted to hear about all this. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
At the time of the last governor's election, and Kent mentioned it earlier about, the state talking about cutting their portion of income tax or eliminating it. What did they decide? They did put in like a multi-year scale of peeling back their portion of income tax, didn't they?
No, I don't. That is frozen, I believe,
Okay.
Keely, because there was a 5-year phase in where it did phase down. And I deal with that with the utilities, but I think it's frozen at 4.4% or something like that on the corporate income. I'm not talking about personal.
I'm talking about personal income. There's no.
I don't think there's a phase down yet that I'm aware of. But I'm sorry.
That $1 billion Medicaid shortfall might have held up the conversations on cutting their income tax.
Or either that or stay tuned.
Because I was just going to say, if there's a margin there, that would be worth considering also. If the state was going to come back and ours was going to go up, it might offset, but who knows where that would go.
Let's put it this way. Their hands were so full with this.
Yes, yeah.
So, page 7.
Could I ask you, just?
Yeah, sure.
Not to get off the key here, but are we going to find then during this process that all the cities and the fire department, everybody's going to be coming in here asking for their rate? Is that what's going to happen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Jim, I
big
mean,
cities.
there is no doubt for the good of Hancock County, a team approach. I cannot say this that much, too much, I should say. The team approach, even for the non-incorporated and the small cities and towns, I mean, if you enact a rate and they don't have growth to be able to pay their people, that's not good. That's going to all fall back on the county council.
Okay.
So hearing people, working with people, getting what people need and enacting a proper rate probably each and every year is going to be very, very critical. Okay? So if you didn't give yourself a raise this year, you better in 27, because the job in 28 is going to get tough. So, side note, page 7. Page 7 now kind of sets up an example for a 2028 taxpayer. And so what we said was, if we take the county services rate, we add in the fire protection. Notice we did use City of Greenfield. And we said non-municipal, large city and town, 1.20, the library special purpose rate, that the overall rate would be 2.5. If county adopted the 1.20 like Greenfield, then it would be 3.05. And we put what the income tax bill on 50, 100, and 200,000 would look like. And yes, LI, the income tax bill is going up.
If you live in a city, it's gonna go up. So is this where we try to tell the public, get to the unincorporated parts of the county as fast as possible? Is this when we tell them? Not to say, Greenfield may do zero, don't get me wrong, they could do
Right.
zero. That's their choice.
Right. So annexation in 2028 and 2029 may not exist. Now, keep in mind that, I'm a consultant for cities and towns, okay? So the cities will say, we will not give you water and sewer if you're outside the city, period. And unless you annex in. And so, there'll be those issues, but I suspect that, yes, I live out in Hendricks County. I kind of like to stay out there. I don't want Plainfield to annex me because I'm probably going to get my 1.2. And why do I need it? I'm doing fine out there in the county. So annexation will become an issue, more than likely. And remember, they won't appeal their property tax bill, but they will get the income absorbed within theirs. Now, remember, their income is still your income. Okay? So it would not, when Randy says, it's not like, when we have AV grow in Greenfield, it affects the overall AV in the county. Okay? The county's total, because the county's total is the total of everybody. So the adjusted gross income is the total of everybody. Okay? They're just going to put a virtual fence around towns and cities larger than 3,500.
Yeah, I also say, because I've been on the planning commission since I've been on here, we have not had many residential developments come in. They're almost all cities and towns.
Right.
And so it'd be nice to get some more residential development in the unincorporated areas on the west side.
If they can give utilities to them.
But remind me why you can go over 2.9 and get to 3.05?
Oh, if there was a special purpose lit that was in place, those have not been torpedoed. And you mean specifically on this page?
Yeah,
right here? Well, part of it is the fact that the .20 is a special lit.
Okay,
Okay, so that's why.
that's what leaves the room to go over 2.9.
And like he said, some might be, like Rush County, it might be 4%.
Right, okay.
At this point in time.
But the point two could also be 0.1. That'd be our choice, right? For the special.
Oh, everything's your choice.
All right.
Except in this.
And except for the major
Cities or
cities, like
towns.
we can't tell Greenfield, okay, you guys are going to overtax your residents. Okay.
No.
All right.
No, that's not
No.
your job as county council.
But you're projecting that if I live in Greenfield, my tax rate today is 1.94. And you're projecting that that would go to at least 2.5.
Yeah.
And that would be the cost
But this
of property tax relief.
So if
State
you make
level.
$50,000, you get
Yeah.
300 off your homestead
earning
between
money.
you and your
Yeah.
spouse, but you're each gonna
Yeah,
pay an extra
right.
1,300 in
Yeah,
income
right.
tax.
Now,
That's bingo.
Makes sense.
the city
your
council, the
taxes are
city
gonna go
council
down
may
one
say,
area.
Greg's all
And
wet.
if you don't have a
He-
job, then
we're not going to 1.2, we're going to go to
Taxes are gonna go up somewhere else.
0.8.
Yes.
So
Probably
get
gonna
off
be-
that. Okay, that's fine, but I use the 1.2.
This is worst case.
Well, it's not the worst case for you because
for us, no.
1.2 could be yours
Yes, yeah.
too.
Yeah, worst case could be 3.05.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
I
they say.
don't
It's gonna be
know
more
the
than
city of
0.65.
Greenfield and anybody over 3,500, their break-even points, nor do I know their threshold of pain. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Your income
So
will
you want
depend
to.
what bracket you're in as to
Well,
what
no,
your
where
percentage
you
of
live,
pay
you wouldn't have the one.
of tax would be. So if you make 50,000,
Then the house prices start dropping.
it's set at this, but if you make 75,000, your rate is not the same.
Jim, you got to control
Unless you
this.
don't
We
have a
got,
job.
you're right. So we got a couple discussions
you're
here.
retired.
But I
Okay.
want to make, this is critical, what Mary was kind of saying.
But-
Go ahead, Mary.
You better be
Well,
moving out
I
of
was just
county.
pointing out that, depending on what tax bracket you're in is gonna drive that bus. If you make $50,000 and your taxes are calculated at X, if you make $75,000, your taxes is gonna be different than the guy, it's a curve. It's gonna be, you're gonna be paying more, so the more you earn, the more you pay, which maybe is a more fair tax than a property tax, in my opinion.
Well, the federal tax brackets do have those varying rates based on your, your income as a single filer, married, filed jointly, or head of household. But with these income taxes, it's just a percentage on every dollar from the first dollar.
So the state,
Flat rate.
It's not like
so
federal
the
taxes.
state tax is, income tax will be a flat rate.
On every dollar of income, yes.
Excuse me now, your question to me was?
The percentage calculated on state tax is a flat rate.
Well, it's not a
Regardless.
graduated rate.
Right.
Okay.
No tax brackets.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I was wondering, if there
Right.
was going
Some
to be.
states have
That's,
that.
that's federal.
The state
I
of
knew
Indiana
federal
does
did, but I
not
was
have
hoping that
graduated tax
state
rates. Right,
Would
The
do
state
that.
doesn't even have a standard deduction.
very little.
It's nothing worth noting. You know how
Right.
like it's
There's some credits.
25,000-ish or whatever for federal, the state doesn't even have that.
Yeah. Because a lot of times, you owe on state, I do.
Yeah, oh, I always do.
Okay,
Moving along.
page 8. Page 8 now is kind of bringing a couple of these things together from the county standpoint. So the county services, the fire protection and EMS, and again, we may not have to be to .40 for fire and EMS, but we really don't know in 28, 29 what fire and EMS is going to cost, especially if the townships lose their LIT, when they lose their LIT. So there's a lot of give and take here. So we went ahead and used the .40, and the non-municipal I backed into, and we went it, so I'll get to that. But here, and then the special purpose lit, so county-wide tax looks like it's about 1.3, and there's another sub-limit, notice number 1, limited to 1.7. Okay, so the area outside the county is also limited to 1.7. So if we took another 6 and added to 1.30, so I took the 0.65 to 1.2 for the county, then somebody else has to cut. In other words, fire and EMS might have to go to 30. Okay, so that's pretty important to keep in mind. Yes, Deb?
Okay, I'm just, and this is probably way off, but if we're at our
1.2,
1.2,
the county, okay.
and then.
What page are you on?
Well, I'm just going back and
Okay,
forth.
go
So,
ahead.
Do we have to do anything for the EMS if they've got their own tax rate up? They're at 1.2? Do we have to do a 0.40?
Well, they have to come through the county because the county would install
That's right.
that rate.
That's what I was forgetting.
Remember, it's under the
Yes,
counties.
yeah.
Remember, there's only 2 people controlling lit now. It's back to the county, which you've already been controlling, right?
Yes.
And then it's the cities got their right, and towns over 3,500 got their right to install their own lit. Okay,
If
that
we install- I
again
guess
is
my
a real
question then is
basic
if-
point.
If they install it though, I mean, can we navigate that 0.40 in any way? Lower?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, oh
be
yeah.
zero.
That jury,
Zero if you want, but that's not
the
gonna be
jury's out on your own. The jury's out on the .40. The jury's out on the city,
Okay.
and they're deliberating over the next 18 months.
And all we're doing is replacing the old cadget in each of these taxing units. I mean, they still
We're
get their
getting that
property
anyway.
tax.
Right.
So it's not like we're funding their whole budgets.
But if we went and asked every fire department what they're projecting they're gonna lose a year between now and then, it's probably exactly 14,729,000. Like, it's gonna be close.
It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
Suggesting
We'll
there
have
may
to
be
look at
some,
what they're getting
there may
now.
be some auditable evidence that the county council will request in order to justify as we go forward.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying it probably will get even more difficult, okay? Because sure, someone may say, I need 10 million, and somebody might say, I need 5 million. And by the way, you can't have two different rates, okay? So the funding level is going to get, that's where I think we're going to move to, like I said, districts.
And schools are talking
Oh, let's
about,
not even go there.
they're talking about how much money they're gonna lose, and we haven't, nothing in here says anything about that. Is that?
Have you ever read the book Left Behind or the series?
No.
I have.
And that's public school?
You know, in Avon, Indiana, their very high referendum rate passed by overwhelming support. Because that's, so that, remember, the state left them behind here, but they said, wait a minute, you've got that referendum rate that you can still use. And remember, that's outside TIF, so the TIF doesn't impact it. So that is a tool that they still have in their toolbox, and they've used this legislation this year. I mean, yesterday, when there were very few elections in Indiana, there were for some referendums. So, Avon. So, okay. So the next page 9, and page 9 kind of sets up the fire districts. And then Kent, when you said well, if we're not using, remember, property taxes are not going to be used to distribute lit going forward.
Gotcha.
Okay? So how would we do it? Well, right now it says it's going to be based upon the census, and see the allocation. It's going to be based upon the census service population and census service square miles. Now, what happens when you're growing by 2,000 people a year? There's something called, we do it in Westfield, it's called the special census. And I hope people don't have to start doing special censuses every year, because it can cost, Ball State was doing it for free, and it can cost 60 to 100 grand just to do one of those. But
I thought it'd be more than that.
yeah, well,
That's
yeah,
for a whole
probably
county?
is by now. Yeah. And so this is how this for fire and EMS is going to be. So the fire and EMS, I think the commissioners are looking at a needs study. The funding study will have to follow the needs study, and those two may become diametrically opposed to each other. So stay tuned, Commissioner. And so that'll be something that we'll want to, the gears will kind of need to mesh as we go forward. The racing car scenario here, you got to get those gears to mesh as we go forward, because if the needs become very, very large, we won't have a way to fund them. Okay?
I think
So,
that's the real purpose, the first and foremost purpose of doing.
yeah, the needs, right, yeah. Okay, so that's how, and volunteers, that's going to be a jump ball for the county council. County council, again, has got a lot to do in the future here, and it's got a lot of people that it may make mad and it may make happy. So
Are
it's
you
going
sure you guys don't want to run again?
So when is this, 2028?
Yeah, you'll still be on here.
So much as like,
Oh, wait a minute,
Unless
let's
you
see.
resign early.
2025
come every other month.
right now.
We're gonna be there.
You'll still be here till the end of 2028.
There we go.
End
Well,
of
I said maybe we could share it.
December 31st.
I'll be a
Don't come
lame
every other
duck.
month.
You might lobby for a delay.
The lame duck.
Yeah, well,
Then
if
you can do whatever you want.
if they delay it a year after
Hey.
next year's session.
Back to page 10, we got to get finished
real,
up.
real quick on number 9. You used the term earlier in this presentation, mandating fire districts. You mean mandating, like
Yeah.
the state is gonna tell us you will create a fire district?
In my opinion, they have said for years and years and years, they're tired of it.
Yeah.
They're tired of insufficient, bad service and people that just don't deal with it. And so, now, will it happen next year, year after, whatever? I think the answer is that's the way they can mandate it back on the county council and say, you've got the funding, you've got to get it together. Okay?
You do think
And there's some, I mean, it's costing Martin County $1.5 million. They didn't even have the money, but Knox County said, bye, we're done with you. And because they were regionally sharing, and the regionally sharing has worked a little bit in the past until your partner says, I want out of this marriage.
I want to be single again.
So, that causes a problem in real life and
Yeah, but they
in
gotta
fire
do this
departments
first
and
before they
EMS too. So,
Okay.
so
I mean, they have to implement all this.
Greg,
page 10.
Can you
yes.
kind of expedite finishing up?
Yes.
Because I think we're getting kind of fully absorbed. And we'll then continue on next month.
Yeah, and so the other, really the most significant, go to page 12, which is kind of the large cities and towns. And this is, Mary, you've got Fortville, Cumberland, and McCordsville. And notice we just said we're going to assume that they get a population higher than 30, because notice they're 3461. I say go grab a few people and bring them into Cumberland and then do your special census. And so, so you can get out from underneath the county council, okay? And so, but that would be the money. And again, we did assume the highest part, they may say, no, we really won't go to the max, okay? But, it would provide most of them extra dollars going forward, So, and they will review it annually too. Okay? So,
Gotcha.
yes, put this under your pillow. It's thick enough that if it doesn't soak in by osmosis, it'll give you a crook in your neck and you'll remember to pick it up and look at it again. And yeah, and so,
Used to work,
What's that?
osmosis.
Oh,
Pardon me, Jim?
No, go ahead.
So, that's where I will pause.
Okay.
So,
And questions that we have, I think that we want Greg to address next month, shoot them maybe to me and I'll get them to him, or you can shoot them to him directly.
I thought you said shoot you.
Let me know what you want on
This
my
stuff.
homestead and my credits, and
Because there's going to be a
then
lot.
we'll
of
have that
questions,
ready as
but
well.
We'll bring him in again
Yeah,
next
I think
month
so much of
for
this
an
is
hour.
still just an undecided amount of information, and it's to see what's coming.
yeah, and to see how it changes and be very, very cautious on, remember, there's the city council and there's the county council. That's all it's coming down to, boiling down to. So what goes on legislatively right now is very, very important for you to keep your eyes on that ball. Okay, and I can, from a financial standpoint, I'm then going forward legislatively, the financials is going to be the key, the financial impact.
I found this very helpful.
Well, thank you.
And the follow-up here is, we're wedging into Rhonda, who is our
Yep.
legislative.
It sounds like we picked up a scenario.
Wanted to just bring us up to date on some of
We
the
didn't have her
legislative
before.
stuff, and maybe
Sounds like we just,
you wanted
Yep,
to say
well
something
worth
about the library part of
our
it too.
funding of
But
keeping this going.
from the legislative part, maybe what we're talking about is pertinent.
We didn't have any help until just.
Let me just make some brief comments about the upcoming special session that's no longer a special session. So thank you for having me. Rhonda Cook, with Legis Group Public Affairs. I'm one of your team members on your lobbying team for Hancock County that represents you at the State House and before the General Assembly. So the latest on that is that the governor called a special session for November 3rd. Late last week, the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem of the Senate released statements that said they will not hold a special session. It will be part of the regular session. So if you remember, every year we go back in for Organization Day. We do this year on November 18th. They're going to meet 2 weeks between December 1st and December 12th to really focus on two different items. One is congressional redistricting, and the other is they want to look at some tax reform for Department of Revenue to adjust to changes made in the big, beautiful bill. So it kind of gives them a fallback because I don't think right now they have the votes in the Senate. I think they have 14 votes right now. That's what I'm hearing. So they can always do that tax reform legislation too and kind of not call it, they gathered for nothing. There's another reason they're gathering. And also it shouldn't cost any extra money because it's going to be part of the regular session. Then they'll come back again in January and kind of start things up again. But probably they'll have to end early because they're taking 2 weeks of their session time during December. So I bet you they'll probably finish sometime in February instead of March 14th, when the date that they really have to be done. So it's a moving target every day. And I will just say that today it was announced that Kansas decided not to call a special session to do their redistricting. So some of those Midwestern states were, we stand with our integrity or whatever you want to say, but, might be a little bit harder to push some of the Midwestern values. So, okay, in the packet that I just passed around, this is the list of proposed legislative initiatives that Legis Group has assembled for both the council and the commissioners to consider, and I sent around an email with this information, so you have that by email too. The first one is the library lit. I want to go into that a little bit more, which is a great segue with Greg, and he got we were talking about rates and everything here just recently, so this is all going to be very relevant. The second one is to amend in the statute. I don't know if you knew this or not, but county councils actually have to publish in the newspaper if they want to have a special meeting. No other governing body has to do that. And so I would like to see maybe that change. And I know the Auditors Association also feel like they're the ones that normally do that notice. I've also mentioned that to the County Council Association. So that might be something that we work on that would help the council. So the third one is there's some language that was passed last year that I think is a little unclear. It becomes really relevant for us now as we have an electric generation facility that's looking to maybe locate in our county. And you can read through that one. It's probably one for the commissioners to consider, but I feel like it's a little vague in the language that they put in place that was dealing with moratoriums on mainly wind and solar. And so that might be one that you want us to pursue on behalf of Hancock County. Number 4 is working along with AIC, the County Association, Auditors Association, and the Commissioners Association for clarifications in general about Senate Enrolled Act 1 changes. I know we have the library lit that we specifically here in this county need to address, but then also there was a drop in some language that didn't carry over when they did Senate Enrolled Act 1 that's about the over 65 credit. The Auditors Association are very concerned about this one because it says that it does not have the language in that says an over 65 credit only applies to someone's homestead and they have to live in the state of Indiana. So the way it reads right now, they could live out of state and it could be on a second home. And that's something they just quite frankly missed. When I talked to staff after that passage, that really needs to be reinstated. The other one is the distribution formula they set up for fire and EMS in Senate Enrolled Act 1. It's a little concerning, I think, for especially Hancock County, because we have a lot of interlocal agreements and mutual aid agreements about, for instance, Greenfield Fire Territory provides paramedic service to Blue River Township. Now, the way they've structured the distribution of lit money, is it's based on population for those entities based on service territory. So how do we determine that service territory when Greenfield just does one little thing for, Blue River Township? Is it service territory, all of that? Is it Greenfield, or is it, I don't know. We just don't know, so we need to get that clarified. I think that's going to be something that needs to be flushed out. The sixth one is, I think we're going to see a discussion, maybe not so much, it'll start this session, but it'll probably carry on into the long session, about township reform. And in your email, I sent you a packet about a proposal that was from AIM, the Cities and Towns Association, as well as Mayor Scott Fadness of Fishers, about an approach to how we could begin this township reform process. I know that even here in Hancock County, the commissioners have gathered all the townships representatives together to begin talking about that here and what that might look like in Hancock County. So we want to have a seat at the table on behalf of Hancock County in that discussion. So that's where I hope to, be engaged in that process on behalf of the council and commissioners here. Okay, so let me go back now to the first one on the list, which is the lit clarification that we know needs to be changed. We need an update. I will also say that you can look at, when it starts to say in your packet, draft language number 1, you can look at the Hancock County lit statute and kind of see the text of that right there. It's Indiana Code 6, 3.679. And I first want to just point out what the problem was when this language passed, so you understand the problem. So the draft that you're looking at, if you look at draft language number 1 to that section, the bold language is the language that I'm suggesting that we go in and try to get made. And striking out what, if you see the strike through. Okay, so the language now reads, the county fiscal body may by ordinance allocate part of the tax rate imposed under 3.65 before its expiration, not to exceed a tax rate of 0.15% to a property tax credit against the property tax liability imposed for public libraries in the county, if all territory in the county is included in a library district. Okay, so here's the issue. The PTR rate is going away under Senate Enrolled Act 1. So when it says you're supposed to allocate a part of your tax rate for libraries, we don't have anywhere to allocate that out of, because the PTR rate will no longer be there. So we either need to say what rate we're going to take that out of, or more, I guess the better route would be to say it's a special rate that is on top of the 2.9%. So that's how we get to the 3.05, as you brought up. So right now, I've talked to both the Senate fiscal staff and the House fiscal staff. The Senate staff said that they believe that all the special rates in Chapter 7, which this one is 3.67, are rates that are on top of the 2.9. But when you talk to the House fiscal staff, they said yes, but the way yours is worded in current law, you're to pull that out of your existing rate. It's supposed to be an allocation out of the, okay. So you're following me on this, right? Okay. So now let's look at this other packet that I gave you. Okay. So this is right now, currently, we have a 1.94 lit rate in this county total. And we have the property tax relief rate can go up to 1.25%. So we're doing 0.25, Greg, if I say anything wrong about this, you can let me know, but you've seen this sheet before, because I took this right out of the packet from when I presented last time. Okay, so of the 1.25% rate, 0.25% you have allocated to property tax replacement, and then you have the 0.15% special PTR library rate. So that's all coming out of that 1.25% property tax PTR rate. Okay, just wanted to remind you on the next page, the council put in action changes to your lit formula for 2026. So I think I have those highlighted. You're moving 5 basis points from your special purpose rate to public safety and economic development. 2 are going to go to public safety, and 3 are going to go to economic development. And so now the library special rate for the special rate for libraries will be at 10% or 0.10. So the reason you did that, I believe, is because the libraries can only have their replacement is only based on their property tax calculation. So you basically go along as if the libraries are going to get property tax revenue. You do that whole calculation, and at the end of the day, you swap out revenue from this special purpose lit rate to replace what they were getting in what they would have gotten in property taxes, in property tax revenue. So they could, since the property taxes are not growing as fast as the income, the lit is, they're getting a surplus in that fund, and they have no way of getting to it. They have no way to access it because it only replaces the exact amount as they would have generated into property tax, as property taxes. Okay, next page in that packet, we're going to look at the rate structure under SEA 1. Note that 1.2% of the rate is reserved for county services, and that's out of the 2.9% overall county rate. So I'm hoping that we can say this new language that we're going to go after is going to be on top of the 2.9, because if they make you take it out of your county shares, that 1.2, that kind of damages you going forward. I just think that takes away a lot of your flexibility to have that full 1.2 for county purposes. Everybody following me on all this? Like, it depends on if we're going to take it out of an existing rate or if it's going to be a rate on top, above and beyond.
A lot of this is still unknown, though, correct? Until
Well, this is known right now. All of this is known.
Well, it's known, but
right.
Until SB2, coin phrase, I'll pay you my dollar, comes around, it's all subject to change.
True, because we have 2 sessions now, the 26 and the 27 session, where changes will be made to SEA 1, and it's a moving target.
Right.
Right. And I will just point out this. You don't have to do anything in the 2026 session. You would need to do something in the 2027 session because this is set to go into place in 2028. So you could take this time to kind of gather your thoughts and decide what you want to do about this. And we could approach changes in 2027 for 2028. There's not you're not under the gun for this next year, but we should be thinking about what we want to ask for. So now to keep the status quo, the libraries have, remember you changed the rate down to 0.10 in this last lit change, but you do have the authority to give them a 0.15. They have passed resolutions and now want to take that up to either a 0.2 or a 0.25. The big question is that going to come out of the existing county allotment, or is that going to be on top of the 2.9% rate? That's the question we don't really know, and we have to get clarified. So my question to you now is, would you like me to go in and try to work on getting at least up to the 0.15 and get that changed so that it is a rate on top of the 2.9% rate? What's your feeling about that? I guess I just need some direction on what you want us to go lobby for this session.
My understanding that Vernon Township Library Services and the County Library Services have come together and reached a resolution as to how they want to operate. They each have hired their own attorneys, and they've each hired their own lobbyists, and they're going to pay their attorneys and lobbyists out of their pockets. So I would not want to see us spend money with you to lobby on the library's behalf and focus on the other items that you went through and let them do their own thing. And then once they get the SB 1.2, whatever, process through as to how it's going to end, then they can present their case. And I know Greg Garitas is the financial planner for the county library, so he's well aware of everything that they're trying to work on. And I know they brought their lobbyists with them today if we had any questions. So I feel like if we move forward with your company doing this, we're just duplicating work, and that it would cost the county to pay you to do this work, that they're going to be doing the same work, and they're paying their own lobbyists and attorneys to do.
You have two separate interests, though. I don't represent the library, I represent the county.
Right
So
now-
I need to know what the county wants to do, which may be different than what they want to do.
Yeah, I think her point is, if anyone goes and lobbies, you're lobbying that in Hancock County, we have a very special situation where taxpayers have a higher maximum income tax rate than anywhere else in the state. And so, does this council condone the pursuit of having the highest maximum income tax rate in the whole state for the sake of the library fulfilling what the financial plans they've made? And I do believe that we have to take a position on that. I mean, I wasn't
I'd like to hear
prepared
from,
today.
I'd like to hear
We
from.
need to be looking out for ourselves.
I agree. I'm not saying we're not looking out for ourselves, but I don't see a point in paying for two services that are going to come in with the end result of the same possible answer. And I've spoke with Greg about it. I spoke to both of their librarians about it, and it sounds like everything is on common ground, and everything that you're proposing as well is the same common ground. So without
Can I
spending
respond
that
to
mu-
Keely? Keely, what I've suggested is, and Rhonda's right, we need council direction, okay? So what I suggested is, and we sent a draft of a resolution to Scott with Mary's knowledge. And so generally, it would be, we're behind this, getting the 0.20 or the 0.25. It was set at 0.25 only because it would be a max. The 0.20 is making up for the current 1.5 and the PTRC that we're losing, what the libraries are losing. And that was going to be a draft resolution we were hoping you might entertain next week. Okay, simple little paragraph saying, yeah, we'd be interested in it. And then I think that gives everybody guidance that we've got to have the county council either say yes or no. There's no doubt
Well,
about it.
and it's the 0.2 cap for non-municipal taxing units, and that includes, I mean, we would have to keep the library and the township under 0.2, or no?
So yes, you would, under the way it is now, and so that's why we're seeing what makes the most sense is just take the special, you've been funding your libraries with a special ed. Just continue that if you want to, okay? And add that in there, because ultimately, when you calculate the non-municipal, you won't use the library, so it won't be that much higher, right? And remember, the county council is the supreme commander over that calculation and that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So you take it out of one.
and we have the space, you know, we were talking about, well, we need 0.65, and then if we make up for lost property tax revenue, there's gonna be a margin there. We still can't be at 1.2, I wouldn't think. And so, I think to Rhonda's point, we have plenty of room to do what we're talking about with the libraries within our own tax rate. But what if legislation in the years to come tightens things, and the county needs their full 1.2,
Exactly.
and we can't because we've already committed to allocate part
You
of
can
ours.
cut, you can always cut it, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, right?
I
In
don't
any
think
given
that's an
year.
issue.
But every other library in the state gets property tax money, and ours would be where the county has to take it out of its allotment because we're unique. But
You don't want to go out on that
And let me ask you this, Rhonda, because Representative Lawson and I spoke recently at a really high level
Right.
about this.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out that to do what we've already said that we would agree to, that we would be supportive of for the libraries because they've come to their agreement, is going to require revisiting legislation. And that because we are the only library in the entire state, or the only county doing it this way, now you're opening up for every other person who represents other constituencies at the state house to go, well, actually, what about my county? Or why are they doing that? Or actually, it's too much. Do you foresee taking it to the state being he was ultimately saying you could end up with less. They could say, actually, we want to revise this legislation down from what you've been doing.
So I think you could break it down into like questions, and then you answer that question and it leads you to the next question, right? So the first question would be, assuming we follow the existing structure of our language and the way it was built, where we had to allocate something out of the existing county rate. It started out being edit, and now it's PTR. So assuming that we now have to take it out of an existing county rate, what rate would we take that out of? Is the council okay with taking out 0.15%, the existing rate that the libraries are getting, from the county general share rate, 1.2? Or would you take that from the non-municipal taxing rate?
Isn't this all hypothetical, though? I mean, every comment is made is would
it's
you,
not,
or
because
if you, or can you?
They have to go down
We
and
have to
look.
fix it, because
Yes,
you don't,
exactly.
you will have
So
zero.
Right now, we have no committed, firm answers to these questions until the next session is given a chance to hear the lobbyist explain what they feel is best for our county. And I really, really don't want to pay for this twice. I don't want them to absorb the cost of what their lobbyists are going to be doing. And then I don't know what the commissioners have budgeted for your contract this year, but I could see this being thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you're going to charge.
It doesn't cost you anything more. I get paid no matter what, the same amount. So
You don't
it's
charge an hourly?
Flat rate, she's doing a flat rate.
Already costs
You're doing a flat rate, so you're not
hundreds of
hourly.
thousands of
Right.
dollars.
right.
Can you
I
finish
guess
what
I
you were
don't-
saying? I would like to hear the rest of what Rhonda was
So
going to say.
I guess the first question is, let's say Chairman Thompson says that I never intended for you to have beyond 2.9% in your county. You need to take it out of one of your existing rates. Which rate do you want it to come out of, and is the council okay with that? Because right now it's coming out of your PTR rate, and that's going away, and here's the rates on this page that you have to choose from. So what does give me direction? What do you want to do if that's,
Let me ask
the
Greg,
hypothetical.
what's your advice?
We don't want to take it out of any.
Pardon me?
We want it added on top.
Needs to be
Yeah.
special.
If
Okay.
there's no other option. Then the other question, I guess, technically, we might say, Rhonda, we take, the only other
He's not
option,
going to
which is the
council money,
biggest one,
whatever.
is the 1.2. But then we might also say, the city of Greenville has to take it out of their 1.2.
Gives them their guidance.
see, that gets into a lot of,
What, proportionately,
Yes.
or?
And again, Greg
And
is the,
I'm fine with it coming out of the 1.2, because
I am
I
too.
agree with I think Thompson's that's probably his intent. That would be my intent, was that, hey, I want to cap this at 2.9, which is less than the state rate, because otherwise, I mean, we're going to have counties, we already do have counties, are way over 3%, and I think it's time to get control.
Continue to have it.
I know, but
So
I
don't
think,
forget.
I would like to see them truly cap it at 2.9%, so that people, otherwise, I mean, especially here, I mean, you're 1.94, I'd love to see, I don't want to see people's, income taxes getting killed here.
I like seeing FSG, who represents our county, also being involved with representing the libraries. So it's both sides are talking, and it's a mutual understanding. And his presentation to them is going to be similar to the presentations given to us. It's a financial consultant opinion.
right. So my first, if I would advise you, I would say at first, get the problem solved with the existing law. And don't talk about the additional rate that they are wanting to, that could be second. We first have to figure out what you want to do with, if it doesn't go on top and it goes within one of these rate structures, is that a no-go? Is that, like, we have to figure out a new way to structure library funding from going forward? Or, I understand what Greg's saying, technically now that Greenfield's going to be raising their own rate, why shouldn't some of it come out of that rate? That way the county doesn't
But you
give it as much.
can't force that, right?
Probably all the municipalities that are served by,
I mean, if you're writing a new law that's totally different than the past,
yeah.
I guess, Keely, you can do whatever you want to propose.
As long as you can get the guys downtown to agree to it.
No, no.
Or how
I mean,
do,
it's the state,
huh?
it's the state.
State makes
That's what I mean. Yeah, the guys downtown at the State House, right?
Oh,
They-
I thought you said downtown.
Oh, no, no. So we would write it to say that some portion comes from each municipality over the 3,500 population or something like that.
If you're taking it out of your cap, again, I thought option number one would be keep it the way it is. And bring it to 0.20 outside your cap.
But you were still
Right.
gonna have to go downtown anyway, right? Because you want the 0.25 max, which is over the 0.2 allowable anyway, right?
Right now it's 0.1.
And then,
That
We're-
point
we're
two
not there.
has nothing to do with the point
I'd
two.
like to give them a chance.
This is a totally separate,
okay.
okay? Totally separate way, because you've been totally separately funding here in Hancock County. With the 0.15 and part of it that she explained very well, part of it out of PTRC, okay? Now, to make that up, you need approximately 0.20 to make up both of those parts.
Just to
Okay?
be even.
And the suggestion is the 15's already out. Keep the 0.2 out. Okay? Because then you're basically keeping it the way it is. Otherwise, yes, Scott, the 0.20 will come off of your 1.2. Now you're at 1, and your buffer between you and anybody else has gotten a little bit tighter.
Right, then you're really treated differently than every other county in the amount of money you have to spend for county purposes.
So I thought the least evasive action would be say, look, we want to keep Hancock County libraries funded the way they are. And in order to move forward, we need to, please give us that right, because we're the fiscal body, and the fiscal body can then decide, where each of those rates, including that rate.
If you put it in the law that it's 0.20, this doesn't mean the council has to take it to 0.20. It just allows you to go up to that maximum. So you could come back here and say, we want it to be 0.1. I mean, that's going to be a local decision.
And we don't
We're
have
doing
to
now.
decide right now.
You do not have to decide right now. But
So we're
Yeah,
getting a
I'm
lot of
comfortable with
inputs
letting the
about a lot of
libraries
stuff.
continue on their own path,
Think about it.
what I'm
I
comfortable
would think
with.
that you would want a seat at the table if they're going to go in with their lobbyist and start making changes to this statute. I would think you would want to be there and have a voice.
Well, I think we will. We'll have Greg as their representation reporting back to us. And they do have a lobbyist. He's here, as a matter of fact, if anybody wanted to ask him a question. I guess what I'm trying not to do is force this down their throat. And that's the way I feel this is going right now.
Well, I'm hungry for lunch. I
Okay.
think we've had a lot of
So let's just dismiss that and let the
So
library
you're-
Lot to think
continue.
about.
So did we just give direction for them to not even ask if we can keep the special rate special and not include it in our 1.2? Because
No.
it does make sense to ask to retain the liberty to keep it separate. It's always been separate. We are a unique situation, so it's not in the existing verbiage. But with clarification, they might say, well, you're a special situation, and no, you don't have to take that out of your 1.2, and it just leaves your options open.
I think we don't give any direction right now, but think about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this on
That'd
the
be
next
my
agenda,
Because
or?
you can still do this in 2027. if
It'll
there's-
come
You can,
back
but
on
if
the
they're going to
agenda,
start making changes
you just wanna-
without us, then that's a problem.
Oh, I don't distrust them. I don't think that they're going to go out and try to do anything that they haven't already presented.
Right.
And then it says it in the resolution that we all got a copy of, if you've read it. It lines up just with what. David, wait,
No,
David,
hey,
come up here, David.
no. Let's end this discussion.
Okay, then we're
You can
just
have
going to end it now with no more further discussion and nothing moving forward.
For the
with it
next,
at this
until the
time.
next council meeting or until you want to come
Whenever.
back
We're
again.
gonna think about it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
Good. Here, Jim, you want the gavel? Oh, you,
Auditor business.
oh, we got to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Move to approve the October 1st, 2025 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Auditor?
Yes, I have a couple of invoices. It should be in your packet. We want to make sure we keep FSG happy, so if we could find some money to pay them, that would be great.
We would highly appreciate it.
Well, the government's shut down, I'm sorry, but.
You're lucky we're
Too
here.
late.
And I'm not sure where we'd want to pay that out of other than food and beverage, which we do have the money in there. And also the chairs, you guys had mentioned that you would pay for the chairs if the commissioners wanted to go ahead and purchase them.
I thought
There
both
there was
said,
no motion
I thought
made.
Bill said that they would take care of the chair.
Well, we couldn't find a motion either way, and we know that there's no money.
I just remember when we talked about it originally, because I said I would try to find a vendor, and we actually found one and all that, and Bill said, yeah, go ahead and find someone. He said, we'll take care of it.
Do we have appropriated funds in food and beverage? How much?
116.
But some of it's earmarked.
No, none of that's earmarked.
None of that's your.
Did we,
Okay.
None of that's earmarked now. We do have, for our appropriation for next week, we've got 90 of it.
now that's what's
And
earmarked. I know we have
90 of that's
County
earmarked.
council line item too.
Yes, we do.
It's only
We could be
2,000.
generous and buy those chairs for
We
it.
spent too much money.
So then we retire, we can take these home
How
with us.
much were these chairs?
$8,000.
But you guys hadn't bought chairs for 20 years, and they were malfunctioning.
Was there some trade
chairs
in
are
of
there?
the old one?
There's 12 new ones. There's one back here
I paid
that has a chair that they're
$600-$700 for
replacing.
mine at work.
Does anyone, before I make a motion, have a suggestion outside of food and beverage for the funding source? Because if not, I'm gonna make a motion for food and beverage.
Well, instead of food and beverage, and
the
we do have a
furniture?
line item within
Furniture?
the council budget,
Furniture?
can we go
Well,
ahead and
it's
apply
only
that?
2,000.
Can we go ahead and appropriate that part of it towards the chairs?
That's probably not
and then the-
appropriated, is it?
Is it appropriated?
The council has a
line item.
fund.
2,000.
The council has a fund.
We have a line item of a couple $1,000s in our council budget. I mean, we might as well put that towards it.
That was for me, that's out of the commissioners? Is that what you're talking about, the council line for expenses?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a line item.
I think, let me look, if there's maybe not very much. 'cause
No, it's only a
we
couple
use for
$1,000s.
meetings.
Yeah, but if, I think she's wanting to clear it out if she can.
Yeah, if we can just
it's
clear that
appropriated.
out, and then the difference can come from food and beverage, if we need.
Is that a motion?
Well, what she's looking to
It is, if Mary says I can.
I paid $600 or $700.
There's $941.16.
941.
Is it appropriated?
It is, I just don't know if.
Has
any
money
more of
been
it
spent
will
out of
be-
there? Has money been spent out of that line item?
Yes, quite a bit.
For what?
I'll have to look that up.
I don't recall us appropriating anything out of that line item.
Well, we've had some lunches.
When
Are
we
you serious?
When we have to stay for the farm
Lunches,
meetings.
classes.
And you paid for lunches out of that line item?
Training, conferences,
Yeah.
classes.
That's bad.
Conference.
Well, it's the only way to get the judges to come. I mean, if you offer lunch for the judge, they always show
I'm gonna remember
up.
that next time I get invited to a meeting. I want lunch.
You get a turkey sandwich from Jimmy John's, no special orders.
Bummer. Bummer.
And chips. No drink.
No drink.
Oh, man.
No-
So for
Don't worry,
the
it's super
FSG
cheap.
invoice and the furniture, we've got a total of 26,799. So if we could do
Keita, go ahead and
26,800,
make your
not to
motion.
exceed
Let's get out of here.
26,800 to be paid from the existing 941 in the council line, and the rest be paid for from food and beverage, that would,
Okay, I'll make a motion to cover the $8,049.99 of furniture costs first from the $941.16 remaining in the council fund, with the balance to be paid from appropriated food and beverage.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. So what's your note on the FSG invoice that usually comes from the BOC budget?
yes, they, obviously, there's just been some additional expenses with that, their legislative stuff
Are,
on
are you
professional
saying they don't have the
services.
money?
Correct.
Okay.
I would have paid it from there. And we'll be bringing our resolution for the end of the year so that we can do our budget transfers and shoring things up at
Okay.
the December meeting.
So we need that from food and beverage? Is that, no?
You know, the resolution we do every year, so we don't have any shortfalls.
No, we haven't
Well, we gave
voted
her-
on
we gave her
FSG's
a-
invoice.
Oh, I thought,
For loose
No, she
end,
only said
until
the one
the end of the
part.
year, she's gonna take it out of that.
oh, I thought she
Remember,
combined
made the
all of
motion.
it
I remember
together.
Jim made the
Me?
motion.
I did.
No, she didn't.
What?
You talk about the FSG invoice.
Oh, no, I didn't talk
see.
about the FSG invoice in there, no. I'm
Sorry.
We still have that one.
Yeah, I didn't know you were asking. I thought you were saying you didn't need a
And the
motion.
18, or 17, 18,000 that the commissioners need can come out of that amount of money that we appropriated, that you could do loose end payments for things that we weren't anticipating.
That'll be next year. I thought we were done with these motions, so I was already talking about the resolution that we do annually. Two separate things.
So you are looking for a motion to pay this FSG invoice?
Yes.
And there is still enough appropriated funds in food and beverage? And is there anywhere else that someone would prefer to discuss?
Well, they said
funding
they
from?
don't have enough the Board of Commissioners ran out of money. Their budget line item for this.
So it's food and beverage.
So yeah, we have no other choice, because otherwise it would have been from their budget.
I'll make another motion to pay the FSG invoice for $18,750 from food and beverage.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you.
We're
Sorry for
adjourned.
that confusion.
I thought when